Hello. Oh my goodness.
Hello.
Hi, how is everybody today? God, that's probably not my best camera angle for my nose. Oh my God, I'm still healing, so I apologize. How are you today, Eloise?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I have just had the cat pulling me for attention while I was waiting.
Oh, well, I just actually made sure that I got my dog. Sorry, get my hair out of the way. My dog Junebug out for a walk without looking like I'm off to a heavy metal concert. My dog out because it's been raining all day long here in Virginia Beach. So I did want to make sure I got my puppy out. So how is everybody this afternoon? I'm hoping that we can keep up with all of this stuff that's going on because I've got like Nightbot rolling. Well, I'm about to.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether my night bottle kick in as well. So I'm
Yeah,
not
I've
exactly
got
sure
I've
which
got it
one.
on, and I don't know if we start to lose like bars and people we start lagging, we may have to go avatar. I know I'm pointing directly at my wireless at the moment. So
I should be okay. Yeah, I was going to meet. Well, I've got my daughters in the other room. She's probably on Wi-Fi as well.
oh, okay. Well, let's hope that the joining of the Wi-Fi's gives us actually more ability. Oh, thank you. Junebug's already joining in. More ability to actually. I know. I hope everyone probably see the scar on my nose. Gosh. Okay. Hope it doesn't scare everybody, but I don't want to be like Foodie and showing up with stuff. So anyway, we've got quite the afternoon planned. So I'm going to try to turn the direction that doesn't show my. I haven't figured out which way not to look yet with the camera. So how is everyone? Do you see people in your chat on your end? Because this is the first time.
Yeah, so as far as I can tell, everybody's in the StreamYard chat. And yeah, because I'm also looking on the side to see what's actually just in my chat. There's only 2 people. There's only 4 people on at my end, so everybody else is your channel.
Well, I'm still a small audience. I've got 34 out here at the moment that are showing up as live, which is still pretty good on a Saturday because obviously a lot of people are busy and and people will start to fly in. You know, I know here.
Gorgeous Saturday evening here in the UK, bright sunshine, so there might still be people that have been out for the day.
Okay. Well, I know on my end, and I hope people, if we start to lag, everybody, let me know, because then we'll have to maybe go to avatars, because I know I can see like I'm losing balls sometimes, and it might just be that it's a lot from my. There we go. If I keep moving it closer and closer away, maybe we can see the back of my fridge now and all my stuff too. Yours looks organized. Okay, there's a say.
No. My kitchen is tidy in this section. That section over there is a total mess.
Well, I can
find dishes yet.
Right, I'm hoping. How do your bars look on your end on my? Because mine look terrible. I keep trying to make sure we're not lagging too much here. So, like I said, if we start bringing up things and we from the websites and stuff, and we lag, we'll let. We might have to go to just avatars just in case, because like I said, I'm pointing right at that thing. But maybe my speed of my internet just cannot manage it all. And it could be also because it's a terrible day here in my town. And most people would usually be out and about, but it's been raining all day. So there's probably a lot of people home also sharing the Wi-Fi circuits with me here. So anyway, everybody, this is the first time that we have gone live together doing a dual transatlantic live stream with myself, Life and ViBe, who is a registered nurse. And for those of you who may not be familiar, but you probably are, we have our friend here, Eloise, Pharmacist from the UK. Did you want to take an opportunity just in case people come in and find this through my channel and want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, so I'm a registered pharmacist in the UK. I've been registered for over 20 years now. I have done work in a hospital pharmacy, in a community pharmacy, but I now actually work for the health board, well, ICB's its acronym, writing guidelines, monitoring what GP practices do, and making sure the transition between hospital and primary care works well. Quite a range of jobs I do now. So, and I have a special interest in gastroenterology, but I also have an interest in anything that's collagen, because I've got myself Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it was interesting to see the crossover with the lipedema and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And I know a few of my actual followers and subscribers have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so they may be interested as well.
Yes, and I think that's interesting. And I think that's one of the things, because, sorry, I keep getting the wrong side. I keep getting which side my scar's on.
You can't actually tell from a distance.
Oh,
so.
you can't? I can see where it's darker, like looks like it's necrosis, but it's just scarred. Of course,
it just looks like it's the crease that, yeah.
Oh, does it? Okay. Well, it kind of fell there, but yeah. Anyway, maybe I should stop talking about it. Otherwise, I'm just making it noticeable.
What a surgeon does is use the natural lines.
I'll do this. It's where they. So anyway, luckily I'm still seeing the plastic surgeon, so hopefully he can fix it up still. So yeah. Hey, Fatty DeFed, I hope you're feeling so much better, girl. I hope you're feeling better. I know you were in hospital, so I hope you're feeling better. So today, and if I haven't said hey to everybody, hi to all the mods, hi to everyone who's watching. If you do get a chance to hit the like, that is appreciated by both Eloise and I, because it puts everybody up the live stream. You know, there's still memberships on my channel available, and obviously we are very interested. And I hope you set up a night bot for your channel subscribe, Eloise. And if you don't know, if you had set up a timer, hopefully it will drop it through.
It usually does it on a timer of every sort of, I think it's every 25 minutes.
Not that I want to get every 25 minutes. Perfect. If you don't want to, you know, not that I don't mind, but if you've not had an opportunity to subscribe to Eloise's channel, then I suggest you go check her out, give her a subscribe. And that's part of the reason why we're loving this dual live stream, because it gives us a chance to hopefully get the two of us out and double up on the YouTube algorithm.
On my side, I know I've got 3 people on: Neil, Peter, Sam, and Amanda.
Okay.
They're on my side, so welcome to them. And I hope they're well. I think I know Sam's subscribed to you already. Maybe the other 2 are as well.
Well, I certainly appreciate
I do seem to come across the same people in the chat on your channel.
Yes, yes, and you know, it's not and to be expected here in Girl World, you know. Yeah. It's to be expected. And obviously we're looking at something a little bit different today, because, you know, I've even read, I actually got into Reddit today, and I discovered that there are people who are just getting bored with Chantal's content. Not that we can't touch on these drugs today and maybe how they make somebody feel and how it can be difficult then to adhere to that. But I think really, I think the conversation around Anna and what she's up to is quite interesting, because I did quite the delve today on Reddit. So we're going to take a little look at some of earlier Anna and some of the things that I discovered about her on Reddit that I thought were quite interesting, and some of the things that they had mentioned. So first, what I'm going to do, I think, is there any business you want to get out before we bring up Anna in a recent short of hers?
No, I was just going to point out that there is one big difference between this in America and the UK, and that is the spelling. There is an O in the middle of lipedema in the UK. So when we go online searching for things, I've had to put both hashtags in, because we do have an O in oedema.
Right, that's correct. Yes, I have to Americanize my spellings. Obviously for my audience over here in the US. And I have people always saying to me, I think I've said this before, how do you talk about being from the UK when you're, you know?
Yeah.
over in the, you talk about Virginia Beach all the time. Like, I don't know. How does it happen? So anyway, all right, let me try to stop messing with my hair. So let's bring up this short. This is a recent short from Anna, not to kind of throw anything out on it. And it's just a little reminder. If you haven't caught up with her, oh, we have a Canadian in here. I love the international audience.
Yeah, I do have a few Canadian followers, so
excellent.
Yes. Their healthcare system is halfway between.
Oh, yeah. I love the fact that we can get more global. This is the one thing that they say that, you know, obviously the internet, you can't form community, but I don't think that's necessarily always the case, you know. Just, you know, obviously it's nice to go out and have a drink with a friend and touch grass or whatever. But I think we also have the ability to do all the Star Trek stuff we used to see when we were growing up as kids. So, or should we say in England, Doctor Who?
No, we like our Star Trek as well.
Oh, that is correct. And I do remember Red Dawn growing up was very popular. Okay, so let me see if I can share this without losing us. Okay, so we're going to bring up Miss Anna. And it's a little reminder, you can love your body. We love Positivity Queen over here. Let me see. How do we look? Here we are. Look at that. We can make us even smaller like that. But I think I prefer that layout actually for this at the moment. Okay. So I'm sorry she's not quite able to be seen, everybody. But we got Miss Anna up here. Okay. Okay. And she is on this like sunbed out here. And, you know, she's Positivity Queen. I did discover on Reddit today that the weight loss drug, and one we will be speaking about because we're going to talk about the GLP-1, correct? A little bit about those and about the supplements and whether, you know, her taking Wegovy was effective for lipedema and just kind of see where it goes from there. Because I'm going to let Eloise take over once I set up the scene. That's all I'm doing is the nurse. I'm just like attending to the room and then I'm checking out. No, I'm just playing. So it says here, a little reminder, you can love your body while also working to improve it. And it seems like this is some type of sunning bed on the deck of the Virgin Atlantic cruise. And she's just stretching out. And
she's got a sunscreen on.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I think for Anna and her last name O'Brien and the potential that she is of Irish descent, I would strongly recommend a sunscreen. Yes. Probably a factor 75.
Yeah, very pale skin. She'd probably definitely.
Yeah, it's probably good she's under that shade, actually.
Yeah.
That's probably where she needs to remain at all times on a cruise ship.
She probably does get overheated very quickly.
Now, had you read anything about, well, I mean, obviously we're talking about adipose tissue, so potentially heat generation, I'm thinking. Fat tissue. So we're going to look at some of the treatment, which is what we're sitting behind, and some of the things that the Lipedema Foundation here in the US say, because it's quite interesting.
The UK was very similar. So.
Was it very similar? Well, if you have resources that you want to share, then let people know. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Your page says it's nearly touching the floor of the sunbed. I know. We don't know if it has a weight limit. We have no idea. No idea if there's a weight limit on this thing. But this is what Anna's been up to. And we looked the other day, if you were here on Thursday, I did a weekly recap of the girlies. And if you wanted then to go in and check the girlies out, I'm going to try to get a thumbnail done. They take me longer than you think, you know. I'm the graphic designer. Oh, my goodness, MK. Oh, I appreciate this generosity. I'm almost on a cruise like Anna now. Thank you. Okay. So this is for both of us in some way, but I appreciate the super chat. That's awesome. I'm very curious about weight loss drugs as I'm considering it to remedy my unique situation with chronic pain. And that's something with lipedema too, pain. And I'm interested about the pain management. So that's something she doesn't really talk. She does, but not in respect to the lipedema. So it's interesting when I saw this goal thing and how they set it up as a treatment for clinicians. I was like, oh, wow, that really breaks it down. At least in my mind.
Because of the way that the blood flow and nerves are into the lipedema tissue, it is actually really painful. And even just sort of brushing against it can be really painful. So
Right.
That was quite interesting.
And I would think that that type of tissue is not very easily vasculated.
No, in the lipedema, there's more vasculitis, but it doesn't drain. It just feeds.
Okay. Now, is it sort of more microvasculation or is okay?
Yeah, more micro. Yeah.
Oh gosh. I guess because it's really
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't sound good. Okay, that's interesting. So we're gonna get into the weeds on the medicine stuff today, guys. She says no / low thyroid, demanding life. Docs have given me green light, still have questions. So obviously we will be talking about lipedema and pain, whether it's close to what you have, MK. Obviously, this is only for education and informational purposes. We are not treating or diagnosing anybody during this time. We just have to put those disclaimers out.
Yes, I have the same disclaimer on my channel as well.
Yes, we disclaim, and that stops us from also getting in trouble with the YouTube.
Always go to your own healthcare professional that knows your actual background and history.
Absolutely. And also, speak with your pharmacist when you are getting these drugs. Get that consultation time, especially if it's the first time you're using it. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and also make sure that you let them know that aware of any supplements and things. That's something that people often forget to mention to their doctor, is the supplements they're taking, and they can interact with many medications that get started. So the pharmacist can let you know whether the supplements interact with your medication.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we've included the discussion around supplements today, because obviously Anna luckily has said she doesn't want alternative treatments. And so we're going to look at what they do recommend as treatments, which could seem somewhat alternative, but technically they're not. They are medical interventions. And in doing with like the lymphatic massages and all of these types of different treatment modalities long before surgery.
Yes.
So she's like taking not really the easiest way out, because surgery has so many complications, as I found out. So
it's not just the surgery, it's the whole healing time afterwards.
Right. So MK, as you go along, make sure you put your questions in. And obviously it's okay. I have scoliosis and associated complications. Mention was a reason why I can't be more active. So is there any tie between having like a scoliotic pain and then something like dealing with a lipedema pain, or and weight loss drugs, or weight loss drugs, kind of able to be kind of cautioned to a variety of disorders?
Yeah, so the weight loss drugs, they don't work as well on the lipedema actual fat deposit, but they help reduce overall inflammation. And there is inflammation in the lipedema tissue that causes the pain. And I think that's where they can actually cause some pain relief, even if they could just get rid of the fat that's deposited elsewhere in the body.
Right.
Which is quite interesting.
Right. So we'll be talking about, I think, well, because lipedema does have pain associated with it. So anyway, let's get Anna off for a second. Do you want to go over to check out one of her older quickly videos about maybe some of her alcohol use, or do you want to talk about the first things about I found from the Lipedema Foundation about lipedema not being normal fat?
Yeah, I think we should cover what the difference is between the two fats first.
Okay, let's do that first. Then I'll bring up that. I'll get rid of Anna here. So what we're going to do is I have this saying, and not to be surprised, it was the front page. And it just kind of talks about it, because Anna certainly talks about the fat not being normal and being resistant to calorie deficit, which is very different from resistant to diet and resistant to treatment. And so we can't forget this. And so, and then obviously I'd like to talk at some point, we'll get to the alcohol. And I have some videos of her and a lot of body positivity, not too many. And then if anybody can remember, I have a video that will show from Anna. It's 5 years ago, but it was the 12 nights of wine. And if anybody goes back in Glitter and Lasers time, I found a lot of interesting things. She used to actually be an executive for a company, I think, called Sprinkler or something here. And supposedly wrote a book. She's done quite a lot. But supposedly she's been on this weight loss journey for 7 years and fitness journey. And from what we'll see from 5 years ago, she's gained a considerable amount of weight.
It's not letting me pull up comments to the screen for some reason on stream.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know. Yeah, I just wanted to point out sort of.
Oh, here we go. Maybe this is a dual one.
Okay, I just wanted to point out that we don't do fat shaming on my channel. Yes, these people are overweight and probably should do more to help their diet and exercise. But joking about weight is not appropriate at all. No,
only in regards to it potentially being risk factors for not managing conditions or risk factors for conditions, but not in order to say things that are of a bullying nature, you know. So I don't ever. I agree, because we don't really we make witty commentary, but we don't believe in shaming. You know, definitely. And we're talking about Anna because obviously she's having a treatment. It affects a lot of women primarily, and she's a huge creator with a massive platform of over 2 million subscribers on YouTube alone. And she has an opportunity to either present this disease as it's, encouraged to be managed, or kind of show this kind of, this, because she's done a lot of things with the diet, which I would love to start to have a conversation with Cheekbones about these different diets they recommend. And she doesn't seem to work with a registered dietitian to improve anything. She eats lasagna. So anyway, let's get over to this other one. So yeah, there's no shaming here. I hope nobody's saying anything mad here. Moderators are obviously keeping an eye on my end. Amber said her lipedema weight doesn't count towards her TD, if that makes sense. I'm curious if that's true.
Yeah, I did do a bit of reading. So yes, it does a little bit, but not as much. So because the more dangerous fat is the fat that's attached around the internal organs. And when you're talking about cardiovascular risk and everything, it's more the internal fat around your organs. And because the lipedema fat quite often can be very sort of external to the outside of the body, you can actually, if you are of normal weight other than the patches of lipedema, then you actually don't have that increased risk. But as with a lot of people with lipedema, they actually do also have a lot of excess fat in other areas of the body as well.
Right. And I think that's why we're going to bring up this and get rid of Anna from here, bring up this foundation, talk about the types of fat and continue this conversation. And I can actually, hey, Pat, right? I can actually kind of see here who's joint. Okay. So I actually can see on my end. So I'm going to try to make sure I, control as best I can. Obviously, people, this is the first time we've ever dual live streamed. And obviously, we're medical professionals. I'm not a communications major, and so nor a journalist. So just be aware. We're getting better though. All right, let's get over to this screen over here from the foundation. Okay, I should have gone in a different way. Okay, let me get over here. I can get rid of that one, Amanda, and start to knock down my number of tabs open. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm gonna, if anybody is interested, I did leave a link in my description box to show this particular foundation here. So as anybody in the United States know, it needs an ICD code, which is to do with insurance purposes. So anything where you actually see an ICD code being mentioned, this is probably pretty close to being a very good site to go to. So, and Eloise, you said it was similar to the one in the UK, correct?
Yeah, there's a UK one as well. I'm just trying to see if I can pull it up to share the link.
Okay, and I'm just going to scroll down while she does that. Now, we talked before about what lipedema was. Now, it says here, and I'm just going to go down about it being, obviously, you let me know, but I think one of the things that's interesting that I read, and you talk more about that because you were talking about the fat, is that it goes into like the arms and the legs. It's not like other types of fat that kind of go across the body. It's like it just kind of builds up in a specific place. And because of it, it can become painful, swollen, and you actually bruise easily from what I was reading. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that type of fat and the pain that then, we talked a little bit about with the microvascularization, but did you want to add anything to that before we go on?
Not really. It's just that, they do seem to think that it's caused due to the way that the collagen structure is around those fat tissue, which is why a lot of people who have connective tissue disorders and such like are more prone to actually getting this problem. And also they comes along with people who get spider veins and varicose veins and other things of sort of poor drainage in their legs are more prone to getting the type of fat deposits. But yeah, they're weird because it's not in the normal sort of adipose layer. It's in a different sort of layer of skin that they seem to protrude out of. And that's why instead of having a nice smooth texture, they can be very bobbly and nodules.
Right. They said it feels like rice under the skin or peas. Yeah. Like you can kind of feel it that way, which is what it says here. And obviously it can cause people a lot of emotional distress. It can be, so it is seemingly quite positive out in public despite this disorder, because it can be. And part of the treatment obviously is addressing that sort of mental part. But I am curious always as a registered nurse when you are being so positive, but the message is kind of not the one that you necessarily, she's running. They don't recommend running at all as a sport to do. A lot of the things she's doing put a lot of stress on her joints, which I want to say they talked about her having hypermobility, and that's not good.
Which is why I realised that, and then I did a bit more research, and it's the links to the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and the poor collagen that's too stretchy and fragile, and because of that, the joints around the ligament joints are too loose, and you're much more risk of getting things like osteoarthritis, joint dislocations, and problems. So you really do need to keep an eye on keeping your weight as low as possible to reduce the stress, and also keeping your muscles as strong as possible. And that's one of the other treatments for lipedema, is actually having strong muscles, because the strong muscles in your body will help with the movement of the lymphatic system back up. So that's how your lymphatic system works against gravity, by using your own muscle.
Okay. So there's maybe some exercises she's doing which are beneficial, and others that she potentially, like the running, she probably should steer clear from.
Yes. So swimming's a really good one, because actually the actual being in the water and the compression of the water onto the body is actually good to help with the lymphatic drainage. So, so actually that can help actually stimulate sort of blood flow and the lymphatic flow around your body, actually being in the water, even if you're not actually doing as much movement as you think you can, if you can't actually swim, just actually walking around in the water. So your joints are supported, but you've also got that water actually helping the blood flow and the movement back up.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's even though Foodie might not be the best swimmer in the pool, God, she's so much, despite the layers of clothing that she wears, which I do think could have led to a UTI, because it's just so much wet clothing. she potentially at least was safer in the pool in some ways
Yeah.
if she wasn't cannonballing because she was protecting her joints way more than slipping down the stairs, which gave me a fright the other day.
Yeah, I was going to say it's why I've really concentrated on swimming over the last few years, because my joints got so bad.
Right.
And I've been trying to lose weight as well, because obviously I gained weight with not being able to do the exercise. But yeah, doing the swimming, I've managed to sort of build up the strength in my muscles that much to now I've actually got to the point where I can actually start doing some small movements and things in the gym, actually go on the recline cycle.
Oh.
And a few of the weight machines just to try and support some of my joints.
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
But
And I think,
even though it's a council-run gym, there is a trainer down there who offers great personal training, and she's been amazing.
right. And here in the US, you can also get free like yoga classes and certain sorts of exercises actually from local libraries sometimes. Especially in the summertime, they'll start running certain programs, which I found quite interesting coming out of the library. But they had yoga classes at mine here locally.
Yeah.
So you
We've
never know.
Yeah, on the NHS, we have something that's called social prescribing and things like that. And they can help people get in touch with volunteer groups and such like. And then they've also extended that into helping you get discounted membership at gyms and pools and things like that to really help.
That's excellent. Yeah. And often, sometimes here in the United States, there might be city run recreation centers that have much lower cost services. And if you're lucky, especially here on the East Coast, I know in California, you get charged for like entering a lot of parks and stuff. But here, next to me, we got a free mountain bike trails and walking trails and dog parks and you name it. And so it just depends which part of the US. Certain cities, you've just being outdoors, and I know we're a little bit more sometimes fortunate with the weather over here comparatively to the UK, having grown up and running cross country my whole childhood.
Yeah, now Peter has said that in Canada they have hospitals with pools. I'm wondering whether I mean, we have hydrotherapy as well. So quite a lot of physiotherapists actually do hydrotherapy. Unfortunately, I had the problem if I did hydrotherapy and then got banned from it.
Right.
Because I've got postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, so my
Okay.
blood pressure can fall and my heart rate go through. So the water was actually too warm for me. So when I got out to get changed, I actually collapsed. So they said, no, go to a normal cold swimming pool.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm sorry. I know that here in the United States, they do have therapy, often, through insurance or through Medicaid, Medicare, or at least Medicare. I know because one of my elderly neighbors, I'm very fortunate. I have a pool here at the condo. So in a couple
That's not common in the UK.
No, it's not. And we have a tennis court right in front of my little flat as well. Yeah, no, I'm very spoiled for why suddenly I'm like, do I want to move? Spoiled for activities. Obviously, I'm very close to the beach as well. So
yeah, well, luckily I am next door to the local tennis club. So
oh, there you go. Well, I'm surrounded with these tennis courts, but everyone's playing pickleball on them now. So that's what I see. Okay, let's keep going through the treatment. So we've kind of talked a little bit. We'll take a little bit look more at the exercises as well. So they say that some of the symptoms common are fatigue, muscle pain, and this easy bruising, which I've never heard any of the girlies talk about the bruising. So is that because of the microvascularization or what's causing that?
So from reading up on it, it is because there's so many of the small blood vessels feeding it that you only need to sort of knock it and you can actually get quite a lot of bruise. But I also wondered whether that's a crossover with people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome because of the collagen. They bruise very easily as well. So it could be the people that have got lipedema who have underlying hypermobility and Ehlers-Danlos and connective tissue. They're the ones that bruise more easily.
Right. And I think we're starting to learn over time that maybe some of these disorders are more interconnected, I think, than we knew before.
When it said about all the crossover conditions, they were all the same sort of crossover conditions to other connective tissues. And I think connective tissue disorders is something that's never been studied properly.
Right.
Full crossover of whether they may be the underlying reason why a lot of other conditions exist.
Right, because we see, especially in the cardiac world, people with Marfan's syndrome. And
and aortic dissections and stuff, that can be very scary because the structure of the collagen around the big aorta can stretch over time.
Yes.
It can be very dangerous. And from the first signs of actually having an aortic dissection and death can be very, very quick. It's a medical emergency, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Very scary times. All right, let's keep going through this real fast and we'll get to some of Anna's wild stuff real fast too. And then we'll start talking about the treatments and get to these drugs. But so Anna likes to say that, she's not going to be able to, lose the weight through diet and exercise. It's impossible. There's no point of anybody trying to come at her and tell her to exercise more or to, things about the diet, because it's just, that's not going to help her lipedema, because it says right here, it's not normal fat.
It isn't normal fat, but it still got laid down because there was a calorie excess. And although it can be a lot harder, as in your body will go through, so you've got obviously the different types of fat around your body. Your body will, when you're going through a calorie deficit, it will lose all the other areas of fat first before it then starts on that section of fat. So what you can quite often, and there is some pictures, I think whether it was on this website or the other, of people that can be very, very different sizes on the top and the bottom, because you can see that it's just the tissue around the leg where the lipedema is and the fat tissue is, but they're actually then skinny on top. So there's very skinny hands and feet, because lipedema never actually goes on the hands and feet. So by looking at the hands and feet can be a sign to see where their natural obesity fat is compared to just the lipedema fat, which is obviously the really sort of bubbly rice type fat around sort of the thighs and legs, and you see it sort of again around the knees.
Right.
So there is the two different types of fat, and you will lose one set of fat first. And it is much harder to lose the lipedema, and I think some of the wording on there is it is much harder to lose it by using weight loss. It's even much harder by people that have had gastric bands, because they've tried putting people with gastric bands, and that's the last section of fat they lose.
Right. So we're going to try to take a quick peek see at the surgeries at the end, because even though we're talking about the treatments and supplements, there's a lot to get through, I can promise you, in regards to this. And we're going to kind of use this care goals here at the treatment plan and kind of branch off of this as we talk about Anna's and in some ways also Amberlynn Reed, because both of these young ladies have this disorder. So there's a crossover here. But Amberlynn also talks about her lymphedema, but we're just concentrating on the one today.
I did wonder whether there was a psychological aspect. I do know when you get people who have got very dissimilar sized breasts, and it stands out a lot, quite a lot of them find comfort in gaining weight.
Okay.
Because it sort of evens out the body.
Okay.
So it's not as obvious. And I did wonder whether that's the case in this, that, if you've got just your thighs are sticking out like really badly,
right,
comfort of actually having sort of a more even layer around the body might make people feel better. But that was just a random thought on the psychology behind why they might find it difficult to lose weight. They might actually go through a stage where they actually look more weird and sort of.
And Anna struggled with that. And I think Anna really does show that top bottom heavy, but
she does. Yes, you can really tell that that's
heavy in the arms too. She's heavy everywhere.
Tell where the things are. Yeah.
So we're gonna look at her. Obviously, we can see her in a bathing suit and kind of look. We're seeing what they're showing here. In the picture. I'm sorry, I'm eating a peanut. Here in the, I'm munching. Eating this, is it obesity? Not normal fat. She just kind of, I think she's supposed to be inspirational and a fitness influencer in this, but this she's kind of, I don't know, because we'll talk about the weight loss drugs. We'll kind of see how she's done. they don't really understand what causes it, from what I understand. It's a lot in women.
Yeah.
You want to talk anything
And again,
about?
I do think it's connective tissue disorders have never really been looked into. A lot of the time, it probably be cast as it's a women's disease, and women's diseases, as we know, haven't been looked into. Now, if men had suffered from this more, we might have had more research. There is that sort of, there is that
I
sort
know,
of,
it's horrible but true.
it is horrible, but it's still there. And also, probably a lot of people would see it as cosmetic rather than life-threatening. So it won't get studied as well. It's much easier to study a life-threatening disease and find a pill that cures that than something that is just about the way the body looks.
Right. And if you can even see here comparatively to other types of disorders, because this is one that's primarily affecting women. So women, when you're voting, just think about this in the US and how many women are affected by this disorder and how little we really understand it and how we do need to, and really the treatment modalities and the reality of the cost of healthcare seem to be some of the lowest treatment interventions because they're quite simple, some of them. But just alone, it's been $12.5 million, I guess, invested, which is, it was peanuts comparatively when you think about how much
things have billions.
Right. If you think about how much gets put into some drug research and stuff or anything, they've had 58 research studies, which is barely a systematic review in Cochrane. That's really not very many research studies, considering it's been since the 1940s that they started to identify this condition. There's 40 institutions, 10 countries kind of looking into it, over close to 240,000 brochures and one registry. So comparatively, I don't think it's a very well studied. What do you feel from those numbers?
Yeah, it's only 10 countries looking into it. So obviously, it's only being studied in a few Western countries, probably.
Does it seem to affect only one particular ethnicity, or
I don't even know whether they studied that, so we wouldn't know. I didn't see any. I have to say, I didn't see anything written about differences with ethnicities or anything. So probably not. It's probably not being studied.
That's terrible.
Probably have just kept to white people.
Well, see, that's not helpful.
No, because I'm pretty sure that it probably does affect sort of Latino sort of ethnicity and stuff like that. So
right.
we won't know if they haven't studied it.
Right, I know. And we don't know about for Kybella and lipedema. I don't know. Do you know anything about that at all?
So Kybella, that's the one, the fat dissolving treatment.
Correct. They use that for like under the chin.
Yeah, they use it a lot for the under the chin, and it can be good for focal thing. But when I went to have a look to see that, I couldn't find anything. So I don't think they have even studied that. It sounds as though it possibly could be, but then I also thought with the amount of vascularization and everything, it could potentially be more problematic. Right. The bruising and everything from it would be a lot more.
Yes.
So, it would need studying. I wouldn't feel safe recommending it.
Right. And it's such a difference because the area of the chin is such a smaller area to target.
Exactly. Thinking just targeted on a nice, fresh, loose piece of fat that you can know that's going to dissolve and then go into the bloodstream and fine. And there's not probably as much vascularization there.
Right. Or nerve endings, which they do concern in hitting with injections.
Yeah, although I have seen that with the ones for the under the chin, you do need to make sure that you have it done not just by any old cosmetic person, but actually by a registered nurse, somebody that would know what to do if they actually hit an artery or a vein or a nerve. Right.
Well, I can confess I had it done by a plastic surgeon years and years ago.
Yeah, well, by a surgeon or a nurse, yes, but not just by
I think
random in a backstreet clinic.
Assistant. I think I've always had like a PA or a physician, because I think here in the States they were pretty strict about it at first, because they're prescribing literally Percocet to take afterwards, because it's painful for a small area. I couldn't imagine on a huge section of the body.
Especially when that section's already more painful because of the extra circulation. And I know somebody's in the comments saying the bruising would be worth it. But my view is that you might think that cosmetically that the bruising might be worth it, but actually having that amount of bruising and sort of blood loss into an area could potentially be dangerous medically.
Right. Right. So you can have the bruising become potentially something that could create a clot, and that clot could break, and then you've got real problems coming.
Yeah. And I wouldn't know. They've not tested it, so it's an unknown.
Right. I'm just thinking about when I was in the cath lab trying to hold pressure on a aortic stick from a cath, the old school cath through the femoral artery. And you would have to keep a solid eye on a hematoma. And that would be caused because maybe the cardiologist kind of nicked the artery going in, and a little bit of a leak came out, and it could actually cause issues. And that's something you want to get that doctor in straight in to figure that one out. Yeah. That's a lot of pressure getting put on.
Yes.
Kind of get that thing down, because you don't want it to start to become a clot. Yep. Okay, so Fatty to Fed says, do they have a clue as to why the prevalence of this has been increasing at a rapid rate in the past few decades, considering it's been recognized since the 1940s? Is unnatural diet and obesity a factor? And let's talk about that in the obesity, and then, potentially, is there an increased prevalence, Eloise?
Obesity, although it is different from obesity is a factor. If somebody is under malnourished all the time, you're not going to get them same deposits built up. But there is also another section of this where they come into how to treat it. It can be due to inflammation, and so there may be a diet aspect, because they do say it's one of the treatments is having sort of an antioxidant diet, or really a whole foods diet. So
right. They mentioned a number of different diets, which I found were quite interesting.
Well, definitely they went from the two extremes of vegan works as well as carnivore works. But actually, the common thread I got from that was it non-processed food diets work.
Absolutely. And they're really sort of focusing on, and I think this is where we're finding out more and more with a lot of these autoimmune disorders and potentially genetic disorders like lipedema, which I think it may have a genetic factor playing into it, as well as a hormonal. They're still trying to figure it out. They have seen some genetics coming through. The fact that, oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. No, darn it. Okay. Where was I heading? I was talking about genetics. Yes. And just the obesity. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. I went off and I forgot where I was even headed. Okay. But they're saying here that obviously the difference is obese fat, as we said, occurs throughout the body. Lipedema, the fat, occurs in the limbs. People with early stage lipedema typically do not have diabetes, high cholesterol, or high blood pressure.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the genetics and so forth. I think we just don't, have enough. Oh, I was going to talk about the autoimmune. There all seem to be connection with inflammation. That's where I was going. Just if you think about rheumatoid arthritis, just a lot of it is coming through connective tissue disorders and inflammation, it seems.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of women get affected, which is probably why not a lot of research, unfortunately. Ladies.
I over my time, I have learned the fact is that men tend to get more conditions that are quick and kill you quicker, and women get conditions that are more chronic pain and last your life.
Right.
Bit of an overgeneralization, but it does seem to be a bit can be that way. Although, as with genetics and with everything, you can have risk factors, but that doesn't mean that somebody who has made sure that their risk factors are really, really low and have done their best, can't just won't get affected. A risk factor is on a gradient, so you can still have somebody that is the fittest, healthiest of people, and they can still get really nasty, bad conditions. They can just be unlucky, and then you can get other people on the other extreme that lead the most unhealthy lifestyles, lots of alcohol, cigarettes, fast food, no exercise, and they've managed to get through life and live a long, healthy life and go, wow, well, it was my bad lifestyle. Like,
Oh yeah, somebody's always got a grandpa who is like that.
Yeah, if you took 100 people with that lifestyle and 100 people with the opposite lifestyle, there would be more people with the healthy lifestyle survive and do well, and there'd be more people not in the other. But yeah, there is always going to be that random one in the opposite extremes.
Right, the outlier is always there, but that's the outlier. That's not the norm.
Why you can't just do case studies of one when you're looking at things. You can do a case study of one to go, is there a link?
Right.
But then you need to have more studies on that and get the larger and larger population basis.
Right. And I think that's one of the dangers with influencers, is because it's all anecdotal to this one person. And they kind of create their narrative. Like Anna is creating a lipedema narrative that it's not fat that she's going to be able to do with a calorie deficit. And she's just at a lot, she's just a slave to the disorder now, and she's got to get surgery.
And that's the two different mindsets. And I did find it was very, very helpful that it said you do need to do a lot of help around your mental health around it. So when you've got a condition, you can very easily get depressed about the condition and not want to do anything. And actually having a good mindset to go, yes, I've got this condition. It's going to make life much harder for me. But what can I do, and what steps can I do to sort of improve my health to be the best I can with the condition I've got?
Right. And I think sometimes I wonder with Anna, I'm just surprised that I feel like it's interesting. I don't know quite how long I didn't get a chance to see through Reddit exactly how long she's been aware of having had lipedema. I want to say it's a while. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to take that off. Oh my God. Sorry, guys, I hit the wrong thing there. Let me get my screen back. You keep talking, Eloise, about the treatment plan we're about to get to while I try to find my.
So it was interesting. There's a lot more to the treatment plan rather than just focusing on the fat. So as I was saying, getting the emotional support.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, is much more important, as it can be with anybody with a chronic disease, because it's something that you've got to learn to live with. Learning to live with chronic pain, chronic conditions can be so hard. And I've had it myself, and especially when you do then end up getting anxious and depressed because of your chronic illness, that can quite often precipitate and make things much worse. And you then also have to be careful that when you go to healthcare providers, some healthcare providers can then think that it's the anxiety and the depression that's that are causing the issue, rather than realizing that the issue is causing it. But it is a big, bad, vicious cycle. So the worse that you get with your anxiety and depression, the more that you get into bad habits that then exacerbate your condition and make that worse. And it can be a really, spiral down. So getting help and support emotionally. So that's that bottom corner there. Get emotional support. It is so important, because that can make a big difference to how you can access all the other parts of the treatment.
Right. And I think one of the things that's interesting is that Anna doesn't really address that part, I don't think. I don't feel that I've seen her talk about getting any mental help. Like, I always feel like for Anna, that would be a sign of weakness for her.
Yeah.
Just out of her character. I mean, just from what I've seen over the last watching her a little bit more closely recently, it wouldn't be on brand. I don't know.
But actually, it can be the best thing you do. Is to reach out and say, I'm struggling. I am not on top of this. Can you help me?
Right. Right. Absolutely. And we're going to get through this. So let's talk about this treatment plan real fast. And one of the things about mental health, actually, before we go to that, I want to show this video of Anna, okay, talking about the mental health part, okay, and just kind of because she shared a video where she's, talks about movement and talks about how she looks kind of sad on one side because she was in pain, which we can see right here at the top of the
manage pain.
This is manage the pain. So, and she talks about pain, but I think she talks about it more like muscle pain with running or her knees, I don't think she's ever associated it with lipedema that I've heard. Oh, she did talk about BetterHelp. Oh, okay.
Was she sponsored by them though?
Right. Was it a sponsored affiliated link? Because everybody at YouTube was an influencer.
Everybody's been sponsored by BetterHelp at some point, and their adverts on YouTube are a right pain.
I know, and I've heard some.
And we're probably going to get adverts now on that because we've mentioned it. They'll be in the YouTube algorithm. We'll have mentioned BetterHelp. We'll now actually have it on our...
Well, I'll take their money. No, I'm just. I'll take the money. No, I'm just teasing. But I've heard some questionable things about whether BetterHelp is.
I have heard from some counsellors and therapists that have sort of said it may not be the best way of linking up with the therapist.
Right. And
you do need to be careful to get a good therapist, and that may not be the best way of choosing a good therapist.
Right. And if you're a student here in the United States and you are at college, a lot of the colleges, I'm sure in the UK, offer mental health support to help you through school. That doesn't cost anything.
Colleges and universities do. And the problem we've got in the UK is we are getting more and more of the lower level support out there through charities and such like. Our problem is on the severe end of mental health help is we're just far too under resources, and the waiting time for severe mental health is getting 18 months waiting lists. So unfortunately.
I know, and I think we just don't have enough practitioners, obviously resources, and people fortunately are becoming more aware that there's nothing wrong with getting mental health support. And I think people are now realizing it's okay to get it. So there's more of a demand.
Yeah.
As we've been able to make it less stigmatized, I believe.
Yeah. And people are realizing conditions where they were just unknown when
well, that's nice, Camel. That's nice, Caramel Frappe. I've been really sick lately on antibiotics. In fact, this is my last day, and I've been really sick for the last month. So that's probably why I look quite rough. I lost like 10 pounds. So
it's your first day back actually on screen, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's your first day back actually on screen because you've been so ill.
I've been very ill. Yeah.
And
so
thanks, become very ill.
Caramel Frappe. That's so kind of you. So, I think we'll just put you on a timeout. Yeah. Oh, they actually got banned. All right. There you go, Caramel. Yeah. Because that was...
Yes, your moderators look after you. That's good.
Thank you. I have no makeup on. I'm 55 years old this year.
I think you look very good for that age. I'm 46, so... Yeah, I was going to say, we're both the Gen X.
Right. I have no lighting set up. I didn't put any lighting on. So I'm sitting in the dark.
Natural sunlight.
It was a little rude. Yeah. Because I'm certainly not trying to look,
We're not here as beauty influencers, are we?
Well, no. Usually I do hair and makeup and so forth and get all dressed up. I guess I need 50 filters. Yeah, I have no filters. I'm on a camera that's on an old Mac. Yeah, no lighting. Yeah, you got your light.
I've just switched my lighting on now, but I don't know whether that improves me or not.
I got nothing going. So I don't really. Thank you. That was rude. I know. People, I know, isn't it amazing? And that's why we try not to stigmatize people, because people who have not been well especially when you've been on 3 rounds of antibiotics. I mean, I've been barely able to eat.
And you'll be like me sort of as a nurse and a pharmacist. We only go on the antibiotics when they're really needed because we know about antibiotic resistance and such like. So it is a last resort.
Right. It's been rough. Thank you. People say I mean I'm not looking for super compliments, but to call me that I look like an addict because I know I'm dark under the eyes. I've always had dark circles under the eyes, so that's
again, that can be genetic.
Yes, and I've had it since childhood.
It can be because of thin skin that the blood vessels are just closer to the surface.
And that's what I was told. Yeah. And I've always had it ever since childhood. I mean, I could sleep for 8 hours, it wouldn't make a difference. It just never did. I mean, since childhood, kids used to actually say, they asked me if I was punched in the eyes when I was a child. I mean, all the time. So I have fortunately been so criticized. And like I said, I just lost 10 pounds, man. That's a lot. Anyway, let's get back to this treatment plan. That's probably one of Anna's trolls coming in. Let's get over to this video real fast that I was going to share of her so we can kind of see her, showing the difference between her mental health real quick. And obviously, because it's Anna, I have to silence everything because she always has copyrighted music. Okay. So here we go. Here's Anna. And she's playing Missy Elliott, which I can't I can't do that anyway because Missy is from Virginia Beach. And so I don't want to not Virginia Beach, Portsmouth, sorry. She's local. Anyway, okay. The video on the left was taken on the day I stopped dancing. I'm not sure if you can see it in my face, but I was exhausted and in pain. And if we just remember, they spoke of lipedema along with pain and fatigue. Correct, Eloise?
Yeah, so it does come with that. And actually, because of the actual physiological thing of it, not just the carrying the extra weight round and the extra strain on the joints, which will obviously be a factor as well. Especially something like dancing like that, that's a lot of strain on your knees.
Yes, and Anna does a lot of this.
Yeah, I couldn't do that with my knees and ankles. Yeah, I should do it in the swimming pool.
Right. She really, I feel like she puts a lot of exertion into her body. And so I don't know if you can see clearly, sometimes it's hard to get these things bigger without me completely destroying everything here. But you can see just the difference in her size from left to right. She then says the video on the right was taken today. This was 33 weeks ago. So a little over half a year ago. And I finished the same dance with a big grin. Yes, my body has changed. Let's talk about some of the other things that have changed that are way more important to me. And to be clear, these changes aren't solely attributed to me being smaller. So I think we can see that she does look at a difference in size.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, but definitely.
Now, do you want to talk a little bit about how you're seeing, not that this is not shaming, but just the distribution of where the adipose tissue is on it and where the fat tissue.
Definitely see that it's on the sides of the hips, and you can see that it's not as smooth. So,
right.
And it's more severe than just normal cellulite. So obviously most women have cellulite, and I did wonder whether that's sort of a predisposition that women that are predisposed to cellulite might be predisposed to develop this onwards. But it's that nodule fat rather than just the smooth fat. Right. Yeah, as you see, she has lost the weight on the top and the bottom, but obviously more on the top than she has on the bottom.
Okay, so what would that say about it potentially having lipedema and also having fat gain that's more from, gaining it from, say, diet or lack of exercise?
Yeah, it could have a mixture of both. It could be, and you wouldn't know unless you actually had a doctor, well, even a doctor looking. I would say you probably need an actual MRI or CAT scan to actually work work out the difference of which of your fat is normal adipose tissue, which is lymphedema tissue. And then obviously you've got your visceral fat around your organs as well, which is something that you'd want to know for the increased risk of cardiac health and stuff. But yeah, you wouldn't know that without doing actual CAT scans. So you can't, I don't think you can definitively say that this is my only fat is the lymphedema fat.
Right. And I don't know whether or not her narrative has been that it's all down to the lipedema. She has no control. Yeah. I don't know. What sense have you gotten? I mean, we're kind of new to her, but
yeah, I don't really know. I think it's a dangerous narrative to put out there that you could everything about you is all related to one condition and that you have no control about external factors. I think there's always other external factors that you can do no matter what condition you've got. You know, there's people who have got some horrific different types of conditions and they go above and beyond because they don't see that that's a limit to what they can do. You know, people that haven't got arms and legs, but it hasn't stopped them. I'm going to stick a paintbrush in my mouth, you know.
Right. And this is what I wonder for Anna and having this particular condition, though, because she loves to get out there and supposedly run, and she's lifting people up on her back, and she jumps around and dances, and she does all these types of exercises. And I think she thinks that will be inspirational for her audience. But when we go back to the treatment plan, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the exercise that is best recommended. I don't know if all this jumping around is.
No, and somebody's just sort of said in the comments, you need to make sure that you've got support. So wearing good trainers. Because of my joint condition, all year round, you will find that I'm wearing my Skechers because I need to support my ankles and to support my knees and my hips. So it may not look the sexiest to be in a nice pretty dress wearing my trainers, but that's what I need to be able to walk comfortably. But yeah, I don't even know whether, you know, it would be hard to find sort of knee braces and such like to fit if you've got that sort of tissue around your knees.
Right, and here we see she has no shoes on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
She's like,
and they did say there is the risk of people having problems with flat feet and such like, and joint problems and ankle problems with the lymphedema, and not just because of the excess weight on top, but because of the looser collagen and ligaments and things that they've got. That means that your feet are more likely to collapse under the weight.
Right. I'm just like, this is an interesting thing, you know, because Anna is trying to sort of say, like, I've got to get surgery. I can't lose. There's no weight for me to lose. And how would you? And so, what we think we may see with Anna is a combination of the two, and you can have both. So let's try to explain a little bit about how you can have both together.
Yeah, and although they were saying it is more difficult to lose the lymphedema fat with diet and exercise, it's not impossible. It's not that fat is there and stuck with you for life. It's going to take a lot more diet and exercise and a lot longer time for it to process out of your body.
Right, and she needs a specific diet, which we're going to look at in a moment too. I know we're going to try to get to the drugs.
And I said, again, with the exercise, doing the exercise and then having the other things. So like the compression, so like swimming, the compression during the exercise to make sure that there's the blood flow in the lymphatic system out of the lymphedema tissue as you're exercising.
Right. So yeah, there's a lot. I think everyone's joints are hurting watching her.
Yeah, I know. She's making me tired.
I know. So
I do dancing, but I do chair dancing, so I can go on and
right. Well, she probably only does this one round through the dance, and that's probably it for the day because she's known to exercise for about 15 minutes. So that's one of the other things. So anyway, what she says here, you know, is that she talks about the fact that yes, my body. Okay, so the video on the right was taken today, and I finished the same dance with a big grin. Yes, my body has changed. Let's talk about some of the other things that have changed that are way more important to me. And to be clear, these changes aren't solely attributed to me being smaller. I can move with so much less pain. I feel stronger. I am not tired all the time anymore. I feel more in control of my body. I can express myself through movement so much more. When I started this journey, and she's been on this journey for 7 years, from what I understand, things I loved had become things I dreaded because they had become too much to take on. It's just a lot of this word salad. I apologize. Now rediscovering them and being able to feel the joy they once gave me is liberating in a way I can't even put into words. I'm feeling more free every day. And here she was tagging autoimmune diseases. And somebody said here that you have lipedema or lymphedema. It's why you're in pain. No matter how fit we get, we will always be in pain and feel exhausted. It's a debilitating disease. And I myself am in excruciating pain 24/7. Because she's tagging it as being an autoimmune disease or something else causing this. I'm not sure which autoimmune disease she said she had at the time.
Yeah, it's not an autoimmune. It is a collagen base. I was going to say it is much more important to get so that you're feeling stronger. And I have to say, that's one of the things that, although I am trying to lose weight to get back into I am strength building, and building up your muscles is actually one of the on there. It's one of the treatments is building up your muscles that will actually help strengthen your joints and reduce your pain. And it is important to do things to help your mental attitude because that will help reduce your pain as well. But yeah, the way that she's creating it as a cure, as people in them comments said, people can be in absolute agony with this condition.
Right. And she's, like I said, Sandra said she's been so vague about her medical conditions lately.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's not, I don't think it's an autoimmune disease, although they do say that there is a section of inflammation. Having that fat tissue has got inflammation, so reducing your overall inflammation will help. But yeah, it's not autoimmune. There isn't your immune systems. Your immune system isn't trying to kill your body, which is what autoimmune. You've got your active immune white cells, and your immune system is actually killing your body, as in sort of your Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. It's killing your intestines. In psoriasis, it's killing your skin cells. Your immune system's actively acting. So no, she's not got an autoimmune unless she does have another condition on top. Is not mentioned.
Right. And when I was scrolling through Reddit, I couldn't necessarily see which immune disease she thought, was causing the weight gain at the time.
She's probably just putting another tag in to get another set of people. People do that when they're just putting another tag to get another group of people.
Right. And that's what I think can be I mean, I understand it's inspirational, and I certainly understand the use of peer groups when it comes to using support for certain conditions, but the sort of role of these influencers and how they pick and choose the narrative, that's to me where it's just not an honest conversation from these folks sometimes.
Yeah, it's more that she should have been saying, I've not achieved all my weight loss yet, but I have been strength building. I have been working on my mental health to find more joy. I'm finding that I'm stronger. I've got less pain because I'm in a better frame of mind. And I've built up some muscles that support my joints. She could have put that narrative in.
Right.
Saying, I'm on a path, I'm moving. And yes, I've not fully achieved my weight loss goals. Whereas where she's basically sort of said was, I've given up on weight loss because I feel okay now.
Right.
Which is not the narrative.
It's not great. Okay, let's take a look at the first part of this treatment plan, and then we'll kind of bring up Anna running on the cruise ship again. So we just take a look at what's going on here. Yeah, Pat Ray, she always knows. She claims she has an autoimmune disease. Did she say which one specifically? Because there's
But she's
lots.
never disclosed which one.
Okay. She uses that for sympathy, but has never disclosed what the supposed autoimmune condition is. Is there any in your research, did you find anything that says there's more autoimmune disease that may go along with lipedema?
No, it didn't really cross over into autoimmune, no.
Right, more anti-inflammatory, which autoimmune, like I said, things like
They can be crossovers,
like inflammatory.
And people can have multiple conditions, you know. Unfortunately, people do have lots of comorbidities and different things. But yeah, you can't just say autoimmune, I have an autoimmune condition. It's far too vague. You would actually, if you had an autoimmune condition, you would have been specifically told which one it was.
Right. That's exactly. I mean,
No doctor says you've got autoimmune disease. No
Right.
doctor says that. They actually say you've got Crohn's disease. You've got
multiple sclerosis. Is that correct? MS is another really.
They might say that we are screening you for an autoimmune disease when they don't know. They've seen that you've got high markers and such like, and they're going.
What markers would they be looking at?
Your high inflammatory markers, your CRP and such like, but they can be raised for any random reasons.
Right.
It would just be the first step when you go with sort of unknown sort of symptoms to the GP. They'll run, see you've got high inflammation, and then they'll send you to which specialist they think. And some people, especially when you've got things like psoriatic arthritis,
right?
You've got joint pain, and you've got skin issues, and then it depends on, do you send them to the rheumatologist? Do you send them to the dermatologist? Because
or to both. Which
or to both. Because we have it in some of the guidelines for some of the biologicals for psoriatic arthritis, and it's if they've improved on the joints, and the rheumatologist thinks they've improved on the joints, but they haven't improved on their skin, you can ask for the dermatologist's opinion for them to stay on it.
Right.
So yeah, you need both specialists because
so
autoimmune conditions can spread to affect multiple places, but no consultant would say to you have autoimmune. They will have said you've got autoimmune and it affects your skin and your joints. It's along the thoracic arthritis.
Now, what about things like Wegovy and Ozempic having anti-inflammatory properties?
Yes.
And that is it part of one of the medication modalities? Because Anna was on Wegovy. Let's talk about Wegovy for a second, and then we'll because that would potentially help manage the pain too.
Yes. Yeah. So they have anti-inflammatory. That was not the intention of the drug. So the intention of the drug, that it was working on the pathway between the hormones from when you've eaten to your brain, to let your brain know that you're full, and to set the digesting process going, and to switch off the signals for hunger. So it's to work on that whole process of how your body digests and putting yourself into the digesting thing. But I do actually think it's because when you actually activate that side of your system, you are setting off your parasympathetic nervous system, which is probably your more sort of your calming side of your body, rather than your sympathetic nervous system, which is the side where you'll be craving and hunting and wanting your food, which is the high cortisol levels, which is your high inflammation. So it probably is because you're flipping your body from one side to the other, because that's where it's working on the things. But yes, it was never the intended mechanism and action for the
But they found this kind of off-label kind of potential with the drug, like when they were doing things like Viagra initially, and it kind of discovered that Viagra did something else. And
so they were using it to treat
trend and all sorts of other things.
So usually the side effect is what actually ends up being the main treatment. I know minoxidil for hair loss. That was actually used as an antihypertensive first. Useless at that, but people's hair was growing back.
I know, it's amazing, some of the off-label uses. It can be difficult then to have insurance, and I think that happened with, potentially with Ozempic. It was probably for diabetes management, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
They found out it became a weight loss drug, I'm
Yes.
guessing, with it. Is that correct?
Yeah. So when they first developed it it lowered the blood sugar levels, and they realized that actually, whereas with the majority of previous treatments for diabetes caused weight gain, so like your sulfonylureas, your gliclazide and everything, they cause weight gain. And insulin itself causes weight gain. So when they realized that this actually metformin can be weight neutral and maybe a little bit of weight loss, and then they found that this one, it was treating, it was lowering the blood sugar levels, which again, lowering blood sugar levels will also be lowering inflammation.
Okay.
High sugar levels causes inflammation, so lowering your blood sugar will lower inflammation. And they found it actually lowered weight. So people who were getting the treatment for the diabetes, a lot of people with the type 2 diabetes getting treated were into the overweight and obese category, and they were getting these sort of 15% body fat loss.
Right.
And that's when the company went, oh, yes, there's much more money if we actually promote it as a weight loss drug.
Oh.
And then they hiked up the doses. So one thing to notice.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to ask you about the dosing of Wegovy, Ozempic, Mounjaro.
Yeah, so each of the drugs, like semaglutide and such, like each of the drugs will have 2 different brand names.
Okay.
One brand name is the brand name for treating diabetes, and it usually only comes in 2 strengths. The sort of lower strength to get started, and then the treatment strength. But when it comes to weight loss, it actually titrates up to 4 doses to a much higher dose that they actually use in the treatment for weight loss. Which also means that when you're using it for weight loss and you go up those, you're actually going to trigger having much more side effects as well.
Well, I was going to just ask that.
Yeah,
I would
side
effects increase along with the dosing. So they have more, explain the side effects. I don't want to list them out, like the nausea. Can you explain some of the increased side effects they may experience?
So because of the way that it works, it switches off the signal to your brain that you're hungry. So you're no longer hungry. But you also then, if you then try eating, you can then, because you don't feel hungry anymore, you can then start feeling nauseous and you can have vomiting. Because if you try actually eating food beyond your limit, you'll actually have nausea and vomiting. So people quite often don't like it because they'll still want to go on their all-you-can-eat meal out, and then realize that they've only had 1 plate full and they're now full, and then they try eating more and they actually end up being sick. In rare cases, for some people, it can cause gastroparesis, which is where your intestines just stop moving. So it actually shuts your, it goes to the extreme of, instead of just slowing down your digestion and slowing down your need for eating, it does that so much that your stomach stops moving. And so you don't empty your stomach into your intestines, and then your intestines don't empty up and go. So it's not constipation, although one of the results of gastroparesis is constipation. It is the whole of the intestines have just shut down. It's a very rare side effect, but it does happen. And unfortunately, there are other conditions that are more likely to cause that, such as Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, because I keep going back to, and other connected things that put you at high risk. Also, because it also acts on the pancreas and insulin production, you can end up, like with some of the other agents for diabetes, pancreatitis, which is extremely, extremely painful. And
I'm thinking gastroparesis from patients I've worked with emptying syndromes. It's very painful.
Yes.
They feel very miserable.
Yeah.
So, it's not fun. And I think that's one of the things about, in my mind, when we talk about these drugs, like almost like the miracle drug, like everybody in Hollywood is supposing, I look like I was just on these drugs. I look like a drug addict because I look so trashy today. I look so bad for being.
Yeah, I was going to say, I meant to try and find it out, but there is the curve that, yes, it can, overusing it for sort of a year to 18 months, you can end up getting up to 15% weight loss, more than just. So, and that's the other thing. In all the trials and where you get evidence for this weight loss, using it for weight loss, It's alongside a healthy lifestyle, a healthy diet, calorie controlled diet, and exercise.
Right.
It has not been tested on
that
somebody
they should
that,
avoid? Is there
pardon?
are there certain foods that should be kind of avoided? Because I think
Probably things that are slow to be digested they would probably increase the nausea. If it's already slowing sort of the gastric emptying, you put something in there that things like the high protein probably would slow.
right. Right. That's what I was thinking. Like anything with high fat, high protein, because unfortunately, I know people love the carnivore diet and all these types of diet, but meat can be very can take a long time to digest, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. Michelle thinks we both look lovely today. Well, thank you, Michelle.
Well,
It's really
thank you. Nice to get compliments.
I have, like I said, I decided to show support to Eloise going on camera, and I decided to go on camera, which I was not prepared to do, and I have no makeup on, and obviously we know I've been sick and lost a lot of weight and still on antibiotics. I'm still not finished quite yet. Today's the last pill.
Yeah. Just want to comment. Donna said that she eats fermented foods and it's helped with digestion. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so fermented foods, and that is excellent for the gut microbiome. And there's a lot of evidence about helping your gut microbiome. Can really help with many different things. Because actually your gut microbiome, if you feed that, it actually makes its own antioxidants and things that are anti-inflammatory.
Right. Right. And I think one of the things though is make sure not to overdo the fermented food though, because you can't have
Yeah.
too much.
As with everything, in moderation.
Right.
There is no superfood, because any one food, if you're using that in exception to other things of a balanced diet, it's bad for you. You don't want to have too much of any one thing. You need a balanced diet. So to me, there is no good foods or bad foods or superfoods. It's all
Right.
about having a range of foods.
Right. But when we talk about foods, we talk about foods, like
Food.
whole foods. We're not talking, I think this is where people don't realize we're not talking about ultra processed junk food. That's a food product.
It is a food product, and in moderation, it can be good for convenience and
Right.
for, for certain people. But you need to try and move on to making sure that if you have got processed food, it's still high in nutrition. And then having alongside that, actual unprocessed food as well, or low processed food, all foods being processed. So all food has gone through something between being picked, unless you're actually picking it out your own garden. All food is being processed.
Right.
But freezing vegetables is probably one of the least ways of processing that actually maintains the vitamins the most.
That's what they say, because they're freezing them pretty much on, pretty
You're
much right at
freezing
freshness.
Yeah, you're freezing that freshness. Whereas if it's been on a truck and then sat on the shelf and then you get it, it's actually been degrading over that time.
Oh, absolutely. And if it's traveling from another country, then it really could degrade.
That's the other thing, is buy local if you can. Because if you buy local, you not just making sure it's fresher, but also you're reducing carbon emissions with the whole transport and everything. And you're also helping your local economy with the local people that need the cash.
Absolutely. And I know we're very fortunate that we have farming areas in this area in Virginia Beach with lots. This time of year is especially good for corn and cucumbers and tomatoes and all sorts of asparagus and all sorts of yummy stuff.
Yeah.
So we do have a local farmers market here too. So it's always good to go.
The only bad food is the food that you can't process or allergic to. Yeah. So for people to say that you eliminate foods out your diet, yes, the only foods that you should eliminate is those that you are truly allergic to or truly intolerant to. Don't listen to anybody who does sort of these fake allergy testings. You need to actually, go to an allergist. Oh, they do. You can send off things and they'll do testing and say you're allergic to a whole load of things, but they're not. Can't remember which way around it is, whether it's the IgE or the IgG. But they're only the testing one that is actually just showing the fact that you ate that food in the last 3 months.
Oh, okay.
Responded to digesting it. You need the other one that's actually the allergy marker, which is you can only get through your allergist
Right, and they have to do like literally a panel of your arm where they inject each of these types of like food items to see how you react to it. It's like a whole thing. It's not, you know, and they get you off foods to make sure when they run these panels that you're not going to have it interfere with it.
Exactly. And then an elimination diet. So I would always say you'd only ever do an elimination diet under the advice of a dietitian.
Right.
Because although you may eliminate it, it's not a eliminate and then stay on that diet. It's an eliminate and then go through a process of introducing all the foods back in.
Right.
It's not, you don't eliminate, it's an eliminate. So people who say about the FODMAP diet, it's not that you go on the FODMAP diet and you stay on the FODMAP diet for life. It's you go on the FODMAP diet, you then start reintroducing foods and find which foods are safe for you and expand it. So it should always be done with a dietitian. You don't ever just go, I'm doing the FODMAP diet and stay on it.
Right.
That is unhealthy in itself because you're going to be restricting your nutrients.
Right. And there's so many people, obviously, in social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, all of these people who are, you know, leading people through all these different diets. And it can be less beneficial than more beneficial. But, you know, people will tell me, and I've had it in my healthcare setting, that people will come on in. Did somebody say something funny?
I'm just laughing at that because my mum has an allergy to strawberries and she breaks out, her whole skin breaks out, even if she doesn't eat the strawberries. So the one time she went to a party and there was some Pims and they had the fruit in the top strawberries, so she picked out the fruit and still had a drink. Still came out with hives.
Right, because it's still in the juice, you know. Just like,
exactly. So that's why I was laughing. So sorry, I wasn't laughing at.
My mum used to have allergies to tomatoes and strawberries. It would break her out too. But I think she had it.
We always thought it was just a weird thing, but actually, there is allergies to fruits. And
absolutely. Sadly,
you know, I can't eat pineapple without it giving me ulcers. Even I don't know whether you have it in America, Lilt.
Sam is allergic to pineapple too.
And even Lilt, even though it's like only 4% fruit juice in it, if I drink it, I'll break out in mouth ulcers. So not a sensible thing. Because then I start wondering, is it going to start breaking me out in ulcers down the rest of my GI tract?
Oh, see, I'd be sad. I love fresh pineapple. Is pineapple supposed to make your lips tingly? I don't think so.
So pineapple itself does have bromelain in it, which is an enzyme that does can break down things. So you can actually use pineapple juice for getting stains out of clothes.
Oh, wow.
It's got an enzyme in there, so it can actually break down. If you ever get bodily fluids on clothes, you can use pineapple juice as an enzyme to break it down. So yes, pineapple can cause tingling for a lot of people.
Oh, wow.
But the actual allergy, as sort of Sam says, my tongue starts to swell and my lips tingle. That's different. That's actually moving on to the allergy side. And mine's an actual big, mouth ulcers. It's not just tingling.
And Catherine, you are allergic to watermelon juice? Gosh, that would make me sad. Gosh, I love watermelon. I can imagine.
Fruit is good for you, but there's probably quite a few of us on this live stream that a fruit-only diet would be really bad for us.
No fructarians here, hey? No. And I'm sitting here eating raspberries. I'm sorry, I'm so munchy because I haven't been able to eat properly. Okay, so let's get over back to this.
Where did we get to? So
the treatment plan. Let's take a look over here because we're rolling all over the place and we're just kind of taking
I know somebody in the chat earlier had said about the improving lymphatic flow. So so although this isn't lymphedema, so with the blue section, the light blue section. So although it's not lymphedema, which is a whole other condition where where it's fluid that's trapped in your legs or arms, improving lymphatic flow does really help in preventing the fat deposits and helping you actually, if you are in a calorie deficit in exercise, actually helping your body use that fat.
Right. And I think we'll move over to here in a second to this lymphatic flow because we're kind of over here. Kind of come into the drugs a little bit. We'll get back to the supplements and the medications again in a minute to see which ones would they actually recommend. And we're talking over here about eating nutritionists
Yes.
over at this point.
Yes.
And so they talked about the RAD diet. Did you?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's what is a rare adipose disorder diet. I've never heard of that. Do you know?
No, I've
anything
never
about?
heard of that diet. I'd heard of some of the other diets.
Right. That was interesting. I need to see if Cheekbones, our registered dietitian, knows anything about that rare adipose diet, because that's interesting to me. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. No,
We
I
need to
haven't.
be careful, because if it gets out on TikTok, everybody could be doing it, Sue. So we may need to.
Yeah, and as I would say, is if you were thinking of doing that diet to treat your lymphedema, go to a dietitian to make sure that it is still keeping you as a balanced diet and keeping all your other nutrition.
Oh. Well, Ollie, I hope that you're able to take care of whatever with the family. Catch us on the replay. We're just glad you're joining us here. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope everything goes okay.
Yeah, I do too. Thank you. Yeah, you hang in there. We're here. We're here. We're chatting.
These lives stay forever on YouTube, so there's no time limit on coming back to us. So
yes,
life is actually more important than sitting on YouTube.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're here, and we can be replayed at any time. You can take us in sections.
Replay on both channels so that we both have watch hour.
Right. Well, also
just putting that in there. I need to get my watch hours up.
Yeah, absolutely, for Eloise. And if you haven't had a chance to check the channel out and subscribe, then I strongly do suggest that. And if you haven't had a chance to like my stream today, make sure you hit the likes, because I really do appreciate it.
I always do that. For some of my favorite creators, I do watch a lot of anti-MLM with Julie Joe and Erin. So when they go live, I usually watch one of them on one account and then have my phone with my other account watching the other ones. They have watch time as well.
Right. I'll flick between the two, make sure I go like each stream, because I also obviously have watched Erin, because I've made a couple of anti-MLM videos myself. That's a while.
I have to say, Erin has been fantastic in supporting me doing sort of my joining the gym and doing my strength training. So obviously she is now a registered personal trainer.
I saw. I was excited that she took
I've been watching her on Instagram, and she's really motivated me. And then I sent her some messages saying I was really nervous about joining the gym and explaining my medical condition, and she was great. So I've got a lot of respect for those two.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Yeah, I enjoy it. And I know they've given me some shout outs back in the day when I was talking about Jessie Lee Ward and her cancer journey, sadly. So yeah.
Yeah, well, again, there's my coffee enema video back from those days.
God, I could not with the coffee enemas. I really, really could not with the coffee enemas. And I know everyone's giving great support to Ollie in the chat. So we really do appreciate that here.
It's always a lovely chat.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're here really because there's so many people, I feel, people want to react to Anna and call her delusional, which, maybe her narrative is a little delusional in the respect that
she actually reflects a big percentage, a big percentage of people. And, we need to sort of get the message out there to people that you can actually do things to help yourself with having a healthy lifestyle without, having a black and white narrative of you've got to love being fat. You can be happy and content with yourself and still want to move towards a healthier body.
Right. And unfortunately, as much as we love everybody at every size, a lot of unfortunately evidence that we see is that at certain weights, we're going to be putting more stress on our body, more stress on our heart, more stress on our joints. And it's not to make anybody feel bad about themselves. It's just it's literally the physics of the human body, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
It's not to shame. And we know that people have disorders that make it more difficult. But I think we should always try to at least then, if it's difficult for the exercise, maybe we look further into the diet, and keep away from the sugary, salty, comforty things that I think a lot of people may rely on sometimes.
I was just going to think, Cal said, is there a chance she's doing rage baiting? Oh, definitely.
Right. Well, I don't know. What do you think? I just think she's a little in denial. And
Possibly.
she's,
I do think she just surrounds people and only what reads the comments of the people that support her. I do think she has a tendency to, if people aren't saying the narrative that she doesn't want, she just thinks they're haters rather than the fact that they're actually providing help.
Right. And I think that's one of the things with Anna is that I don't know about rage baiting.
Obviously, there is haters out there, and there are people that are just rude for the sake of being rude, and that is not appropriate. You should never shame somebody or be rude. But there are, you do need to find the balance that there are sort of people going, do you know that the support groups, that you know that there is things that you can do to help?
Right.
So finding that balance.
Yeah, and I wonder too, like, I don't know if I mean they definitely try to put out titles or things that are going to get their audience either for sympathy. I mean, maybe as reaction channels, we look at it a little bit differently. I mean, my reaction is more like I'm not trying to say that, she's the worst person, but I do want her with such a large platform to be able to give a better information about this, because I think she's not showing what somebody who genuinely is experiencing this, which is a lot of women. So she has a huge platform where she can speak to so many women, and she's going straight to surgery. It seems like she does some exercise. Her diet has never been good from what I can gather. And I feel like a lot of this treatment here has not been accomplished by Anna, and she's off to the last resort, which is the surgery.
Rather than a full holistic approach.
Right. And she's even
said in any condition, even if you have somebody following your remit, somebody needs to have bypass surgery on their heart. Yes, it's a medical emergency and you do the bypass surgery, but you wouldn't just say, right, you've had your bypass surgery, that's it. You go, right, we now need to see what we can do to help you and support you going forward so that you don't end up needing bypass surgery again in 2 years' time.
Right, which I used to do, which was cardiac rehab.
I was going to say, as I said, I used to do cardiac rehab. So our cardiac rehab nurses used to have patients in for sort of after they've been discharged from hospital. The following 6 weeks, they would all come, and we'd have a dietitian would do a slot.
Right.
And the cardiac rehab team would do a slot, and I would always do a slot on the medication. So I'd go through the whole lot: the ACE inhibitors, the beta blockers, the statins.
Right.
I'd go through the whole lot with them, and I probably could do that whole 30-minute stage.
Yeah, and I could probably list off the drugs they were on because they all came out of the hospital with the exact
well, we used to do that. Are they on the quad therapy? So are they on the antiplatelet, the statin, the ACE inhibitor, the beta blocker?
Absolutely. And the antiplatelet could include like, aspirin and something else, an Eloise.
Plavix, which is actually what my previous live stream was on. So my previous live stream that I just did was on all the blood thinners. So then and the DOACs. So like we were talking about with the warfarin and the DOACs.
Oh, I know. And I was listening to that. And of course, they love some Plavix, the patients. They absolutely love Plavix.
Oh, well, I like it because we always use it as generic, but they always call it the dog drug, the cloppy dog drug, even though it's supposed to be clopidogrel, but they always call it cloppy dog drug.
Well, the patients just love how it bruises them. So they just love that drug. They just love it. Okay, so Pat says Cal has a good point. I think she does a bit of rage baiting, especially when it comes to her exercise. It's like all the jumping, and the running. Yeah, that's a little bit baity, because especially now she talks about the lipedema. It's like, girl, that's not what they recommend. But Pat pointed out that she supposedly said she had Hashimoto's.
Okay.
So what do you think about
that? That is an autoimmune disease if she does have that. So yeah.
So does that affect anything with lipedema, do you think?
What I was reading, it doesn't. There was a very big crossover. A lot of people who have lipedema had Hashimoto's and other thyroid issues.
Right. So just to clarify, Hashimoto's is a
thyroid issue.
A little bit about the disorder. Real quick, just for anybody who's not familiar with Hashimoto's, because I get younger people listening sometimes. So what can you explain about Hashimoto's? Obviously, I just said it's a thyroid disorder.
Well, it's an autoimmune disorder. So whereas you normally have thyroid disorders where your thyroid is overactive or underactive, the reason in Hashimoto's is because your body's immune system is basically killing your thyroid and attacking your thyroid. And I think it can go both ways. I think it's at one point you can actually be a hypothyroid, and then you can go hypothyroid with it.
Wow.
I know it can be messy, and all I know is that when you look at the blood tests of somebody, when you look at the panel for the thyroid, it looks totally bizarre when they've got Hashimoto's. It's that you look at it, it's not just a low thyroid, treat them with thyroxine. It's oh wow, that's weird, we'll send you off to the endocrinologist.
Jeez, that's
it's not my expertise because I'm not an endocrinologist. I usually just have it when people end up either on the two treatments, either the anti-thyroid or the thyroid replacement.
Now, would that lead to her weight gain too?
It could be. If your thyroid levels aren't controlled, it could lead to weight control. You need to really, and the other thing is you need to be compliant with your thyroid medication, and then with having the blood test to make sure that your levels are correct, and then altering your level. So yeah, if you're not compliant with taking your medication and getting your blood test, then yeah, you could end up with problems.
Because we don't really hear Anna talking, the first time I've seen her in a while at a doctor's office, so I don't know how she manages this disease. It's not something she mentions when she was running.
Yeah, I know. The only time I've ever seen her talk about medication is when she's wanted sympathy. So when she was talking about the sort of anticoagulants, it was for sympathy, not for actually saying, the doctor's given me this and I'm going to use it and I'm going to control my condition with it.
Right. Yeah. I think, and I'm concerned about the surgery. We'll get to that. Let's get down this treatment plan so we can move along. So they have other diets, and we're kind of crossing into the medications as we go along and the weight loss meds. And I'm gonna get you to focus on that with the supplements in about 2 seconds. Okay. We've touched some of the exercise here because I want to make sure we bring out your pharmaceutical knowledge. So they have here also the paleo diet.
Yes. Which again, I think it's more the fact that you're moving away from having ultra-processed food to non-ultra-processed food helps you have foods that are more likely to contain antioxidants and, protein, fiber that fills up your gut microbiome that also produces your body's antioxidants and reduces inflammation. So I think, a paleo diet works because you're putting out the ultra-processed and you're getting the other foods that have got good nutrition in them. They've got all your vitamins, minerals, polyphenols, all of those sort of things that are your antioxidants.
I'm going to apologize for coughing. Talk about anti-inflammatories while I go have a cough because my allergies are going real crazy.
Right. So anti-inflammatories that you've got quite a lot in different herbs and spices and fruits and vegetables all have anti-inflammatories, and that's where you probably get a lot of supplements are being pushed as being anti-inflammatory, but they're quite often from plants such as your turmeric and so I think the thing, so one of the ones that was being pushed, turmeric, green tea, and those sort of supplements, all the antioxidants were really being pushed, but actually you could get all of those actually in your diet from food, and that's where you would be wanting to get them from. We will.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I've got the 12 nights of the time when Anna drank the entire Advent calendar. We're gonna be
so the other
taking a peek at that real fast. So don't worry. We're gonna talk about some of her things potentially.
The one anti-inflammatory supplement that actually had some good evidence was the omega-3, which is an omega-3 fatty acid. So it's actually, when you have your different types of fats, you have your saturated fats, obviously, which are more likely to deposit as fat and cause problems, line the arteries, increase your cardiac risk. And then you have your polyunsaturated fats and all of those sort of your healthier fats. And then you have your omega-3,
Okay.
your omega fatty acids, which quite often from your seeds, nuts, and from fish. And the omega-3 does seem to be anti-inflammatory. So it's a good fat. So it's a good way of getting good fat in your diet, helping you get that vitamin A, D, E, and K that you need, because you actually need fat in your diet to absorb your fat-soluble vitamins. And then your omega-3 can actually be anti-inflammatory and can provide some benefit. But then I was thinking, yes, you could have it as a supplement, but actually getting your omega-3 through your diet. So when you are eating fat in your diet, have ones that have got your omega-3 sources would be beneficial.
Right. And can you explain a little bit about how, since we're kind of crossing between the diet and obviously talking about supplementation, and I think we should go into this area, and we'll kind of cross back to the meds and then we'll go, because we're kind of, because we're covering a lot here. But talk about it through food. How is it beneficial? And then, obviously dosing for supplementation, and then work on the kidneys. So just kind of cover, that.
It does,
and then
yeah.
What
so
supplements would they recommend? You talked about obviously omega-3.
Yeah, the other one that I saw really was green tea and turmeric. They were the only three that actually seemed to have any sort of evidence as working. Oh, and riboflavin, which is one of your B vitamins.
Okay. Now that's something that you can, at least here in the United States, a lot of these actually do have. I don't know, because it's one of those things where I don't know if it's like, because supplements aren't necessarily under the control of the Food and Drug Administration here, but there are like medical doses of things. I know with cranberry extract they do that. So they do.
Oh yeah, with cranberry juice treating UTIs. Yeah, the quantity that you need is fairly significant to actually.
Right. Now, is it the same then with, like, say, turmeric and this, where it would be impossible to eat it, so you would eat it? Or how would this work for, say, this, if that's what you read?
So for the turmeric, it was more the fact that it was people who had it in a turmeric in their diet. So they were eating, sort of curries and things like that. And I don't know whether that was the confounding factor rather than the fact that there was no high dose turmeric.
Okay. So it was.
And even so in the high dose so there has been quite a lot of high dose studies for turmeric to try and cure things,
right?
Which it doesn't. But as part of a health balanced diet, turmeric, black pepper, and your other antioxidants as a whole of an antioxidant type diet does provide benefits.
Right, and it's better through absorption through food, from what I understand, than even these high doses of supplementation. Why is that? Because people love supplements. They do everything.
It's called bioavailability. So when you actually have nutrients actually in food, it's in a format that your body can absorb, because it's how your body breaks it down. You just have a high clump of the nutrient in a capsule, and then it gets released. You've then got to have where it's released getting absorbed, and not all of it will get absorbed. You'll only get, you may only get 50% or even lower absorbed. Whereas if it's in your food and it's more mixed with other vitamins, so you probably know there's certain vitamins that help other vitamins and minerals be absorbed. So you need vitamin C to help the absorption of iron.
Correct.
So if you just take an iron supplement and you've not also got vitamin C in your diet, it's not going to absorb as well. So if you actually have some food that contains both vitamin C and iron, your body will be able to absorb both of them. Whereas just having the high clump of iron in a tablet going through your system, it's just going to end up coming out, causing you to have black stools and constipation and side effects. Again, I've done a video about that. They've actually changed the guidelines in the UK on iron dosage. They've realised anything higher than just 200 milligrams of ferrosulfate a day of iron, you're just not going to absorb.
Right, and then you're just going to get constipated.
You just get constipated and black stools. So.
Right.
Because, but you take that alongside some orange juice.
Right.
Your iron tablet alongside some orange juice. The vitamin C in the orange juice is going to really help you absorb your iron much better.
Yeah, and often here in the United States, especially with hematologists that I've worked with iron and obviously iron deficient anemic patients, we've used, we'll often prescribe a vitamin C supplement along with the iron just because maybe they're older, they're not getting it as much
Sorry, I've just
nutrition.
got a cat that's destroying the place. He's just trying to knock down my setup.
Oh, well, June bugs are staring out a window because it's been rainy, so we've been limited on walks today. So I think that, so are there any types of, it's difficult to get all the nutrients in your diet, says Sandra. Even getting enough nuts and seeds is hard when you're restricting calories for weight loss. So how do people who are trying to, with something like Anna's, she says she can't go like calorie deficient or deficit, sorry. Deficit. And so how are people being able to balance, intake with weight loss?
Yeah, so it can be hard. So obviously your nuts and seeds, they've got the omega fatty acids. They are high in protein and high in fat. And so they are high calories. But actually, if you're putting them with your breakfast, sort of you have your oats with adding nuts and seeds in there, it can actually end up helping you feel fuller for longer.
Right. I
And
think
so then
people
you
are
probably
scared
end
of
up
nuts because of the
so then
fat.
you probably end up eating less calories throughout the rest of the day. So yes, it can be hard if you just think, oh, this is all my food that I'm eating for the day, and then I need to add in these extra high calorie foods. You also
Right.
have to think about sort of you replace different things within your diet, and then sort of making sure that you're having these higher fat and protein foods to make you feel fuller, and then you don't need to snack on the other things later on in the day.
Right.
So you can still get it and still be in a calorie deficit, but it is the sort of thing you may need to talk to a dietitian about, sort of doing that.
Are there some nuts better than others? Because like I think that's where people get scared. Like I'm not scared of nuts.
Yeah.
I
think as long as you've
nuts
not got
and fruit at the moment. It's like that's what I'm
as long as
snacking
you've
on.
got the nut allergy, I think the main thing is it's always a variety. If you just decide that I'm only having cashew nuts, because I've heard cashew nuts are good, and that's the only nut, you're not going to get a variety. You need to actually be trying all the different ones.
Right.
So what they
Yeah, and
say
I
is
have a thing for peanuts.
to avoid them. But they say sort of I do a lot of reading of from the Zoe Project, which is King's College London, and they do a lot about the gut microbiome, and they talk about sort of trying to have 30 different plant-based foods within a week.
Yeah.
And it's about the variety. It's not necessarily about which one of the foods, but having the variety of the foods. And you can soon add that up when you think if you have oats and things. So it includes your other. So all your fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and even your grains. Just having, the different ones.
Right. I think I just wish we could find us ways to make it feel simpler for people sometimes, because I feel that there's so many different things that people hear, and like I said, a lot of people get nervous around nuts because there's, they hear about it having fats and high fat content, and and if people are trying to lose weight, they don't want to really go near those. I don't, so I think just obviously having a handful maybe and combining it, like you said, and not, thinking that you have to take down a container that looks like this.
I probably wouldn't say, go in and getting one of those big bags of peanuts that you get and sitting and watching TV, wolfing them down in the evening. That's probably not the way to go.
No, I can promise you, I put my little portion inside my lid and I just nibble on a few, But
well, that's the other thing about I'm doing a lot about intuitive eating, and it's eating with intent. So when you are eating, think about, am I enjoying this food? Is it food that I like? How hungry am I? Why am I eating? Do I feel full? Do I feel overfull?
Right.
And just thinking about that all the time. So it's really stopped sort of in an evening when I walk into the kitchen to grab a chocolate bar. It's like, why am I doing this? Am I actually hungry?
Right.
Do I actually need it? And it's like, I might just have a little bit because I do want to have that little bit of enjoyment, but I don't need to have a massive bit to get that enjoyment. I can have a little bit to get that enjoyment.
Right. And I think a lot of times because we get so tired and worn out, we obviously go for those sugary things, think, because it's like, oh, our body, like little energy, it's just kind of, you're craving for that, for the energy, I think.
Yeah.
Now, Lindsay brings up a good point, and this might be a little
Yeah.
bit off, but back to the iron. In the
Yeah, so
respect
there has
that,
been.
how do you as a pharmacist manage 3 different specialists? Okay.
Yes, I know. And this is
Doing
one of the things
3
that we.
different types of instructions
Yeah,
on the same drug, because it
yeah,
happens. Who
it does.
wins on this? Who is
Yeah,
the winning specialist?
this is
Because it's a hierarchy.
yeah. Well, I have to say that I'm the winning specialist.
There we go.
As in, I write the guidelines, and we've had this with the changing guidelines with the iron. We've got the traditional GPs that for years have always done 3 times a day, 1 tablet 3 times a day. We have this new guidance out. We've got other younger doctors that have followed the new guidance and like, yep, that makes sense. We've got other ones that have. I've had so many patients with having so bad a side effects. I just only use it as every other day anyway, because they've got that experience. Gynecologists, I know, quite often think we need to get that iron in there quick, especially in pregnancy. Like, we want to get the iron in quick. We haven't got time to wait for the levels to build up. So I have to do a lot of going to sort of the GPs, explaining what the guidance is, going to the consultants and going, yes, what the guidance is. And yeah, trying to get that consensus, because although there's the evidence out there, you've also got doctors and consultants that have also got their learned experience of, either coming across patients that have had real problems, either getting the iron levels up or having side effects, and then that throw their judgment on what their practice is after then. So yeah, you can end up with the same condition being treated differently by different doctors because of their experience previously.
So what should Lindsay do, or a patient in this type of situation? Obviously, we're not treating a diagnosis, educational information purposes only. Would be her, who should she speak to about this and getting more clarification? Because this is very confusing for patients.
It is very confusing, and it can be worth, if you're getting the different answers from the different doctors, actually going to the pharmacist and saying, I've been given this different advice. Which one should I be following? And then the pharmacist could then be the person that goes back to the GPs or the consultants and acts as that intermediary, going, you've given this advice, the patient's given the other. Is there a reason why you're specifically wanting the patient to have a higher dose or a lower dose?
Right.
What's your reasoning? And finding that out for the patient. And also asking the thing. So, yeah, obviously the gastro would have been very worried about side effects.
Right.
The gynecologist would be very worried about getting the iron levels up, and the family doctor was probably thinking more along the whole patient situation, which is why you've got those different extremes.
Right, or maybe long-term use, maybe more chronic use of the medication for long-term management.
Yeah, obviously, quite often it's the family doctor that can then make the final decision. You can go that the consultant said this, I've had that consultant and this consultant. Can you look at me at a whole? Why? Because as you sort of said with you do cardiology. Cardiologists love getting patients on their aspirin, antiplatelets and everything.
Oh yeah.
Then they go and see the gastro, and the gastro's like, you're ripping this person's stomach to shreds. We need to protect the stomach.
Right.
Balancing that. And the family doctor is quite often, well, with the GP back in this country, that has to do the balancing of, as a person as a whole, are we going to prioritize this section or that section, and what's the balance? What's the best balance of looking at the whole person?
Yeah. So that's always why it's good to, I know a lot of people, especially in the US, one of the difficulties is that they may go to different pharmacies to get drugs at different prices.
Yeah. Whereas in the UK, it's the same price no matter what. So you either get free prescriptions or you pay the set price.
Right. So you can have that relationship with one pharmacist, you see, one chemist. Whereas in the US, you might have one drug over here, one drug over there, and so they may not even know all the different drugs that you're on.
I was going to say, do you have such a thing as a patient record? that
They
have access
do,
to.
but I don't know if, if you're working for a commercial pharmacy, if you're going to have access to the patient's medical record.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not all that great in the UK, but we are working more towards having a patient record that is visible. At least the summary care record is visible by most providers, so that they can actually see what other medication, what other allergies, what other main medical conditions a patient's got.
Right. And I've had patients where I see it's coming from 3 different pharmacies coming into their chart. It's definitely a lot different here. I know with the controlled narcotics, they definitely have a national registry for that.
Yeah.
But for that doctors can, so that people can make sure that, the person's not being prescribed by 15 different doctors. Okay, let's get back over to
That was a bit of a squirrel trail.
I know. Let's get back over to this treatment. Okay. So we're kind of into the supplement ideas here. Were there any supplements that you saw that are being touted as being effective for this condition?
The ones that were being touted were all the ones for weight loss.
Okay. Which were?
The green tea, the chromium, which I always think is a bit weird why they put chromium as weight loss. You have chromium in your insulin molecules, but they always think, and yes, having if you're chromium deficient, having chromium will make sure that your sugar levels are controlled. But other than that, if you're not chromium deficient, you don't need it. Again, magnesium got thrown in there.
What a shocker!
Yeah,
magnesium is the cure-all.
Yeah. So
what is the obsession with magnesium? Please tell me.
I know. Although that is my what has been requested as my next video is magnesium.
Please.
Yeah. Because I actually do have I have been talking to a pain specialist who does think that there is a reason why some people have got low magnesium, and low magnesium might help in certain chronic pain.
Okay.
I want to put that.
Right.
But yes, now magnesium isn't a cure-all, but there is the potential that some people may be magnesium deficient because the foods that are in are not in processed foods. So you need to be getting, again, it's in your nuts, seeds, beans, and that sort of thing, which a lot of people don't have in their diet.
Right. Which I eat like a bird, so I'm nutting and seeding all day. I'm a bird and a squirrel.
Plus, there are sort of medications like your PPIs, your lansoprazole, omeprazole, esomeprazole for your stomach acid. They can lower your absorption of magnesium, so it can cause magnesium deficiency as well. But yeah, it was all just the normal sort of usual suspects for weight loss and anti-inflammatory. But
did they throw some zinc in there too? Did they say that? Did they say that zinc or anything could also help?
No, zinc didn't. Although vitamin C did.
Oh, it did.
Yes, as an antioxidant, but it is one of the known major players as an antioxidant, vitamin C. And
now, if you overtake vitamin C, if you're not needing to take it, can that be harmful through kidney?
It can be. I was going to say there has been a case study of a particular influencer that overdosed on vitamin C and gave herself kidney stones, because if you're trying, although it's excreted, it's water soluble vitamin and it's excreted out your kidneys. If you are putting strain on your kidneys, having to flush out all of these supplements and vitamins like vitamin C, it can cause a strain on your kidneys, and you can cause a build-up of oxalate and oxalate kidney stones from too much vitamin C.
Right. So I think that's why it's so beneficial to talk about the supplements. And I was kind of happy that in some ways that Anna said, please don't come with me with all the alternative treatments, modalities, or, and I'm thinking she's thinking more of these like the MLM type products and all of these things. Did you see anything? Yeah. Did you see anything in your research of any of those types of companies making any claims?
No, I didn't actually. No, obviously the MLM companies haven't targeted lymphedema yet.
I'm surprised. This is so afflicting to females.
I think they just go straight for the normal weight loss because it's a bigger group of people.
Right, and the supplements,
This
and
is
obviously,
this is a subset of hard to reach people that they probably can't be bothered to put extra
and
resources.
they're going to be selling collagen, and I'm sure you have some thoughts about that too.
Oh, yeah.
Because
You've got collagen. It don't matter how much extra collagen you put in. It's not doing anything.
what do you mean? You mean these collagen shakes and drinks are not effective to do anything to help you?
No.
It's not going to keep your skin looking forever young.
Although I can say a collagen face cream can be quite hydrating because it is humectant.
Right, but I mean, everybody's selling a collagen drink.
I know they are. Yes. Collagen
are they wasting their money?
That collagen is a protein, and increasing your protein in your diet can be beneficial. But it's not all the amino acids. It's not a full range of all your amino acids. You're actually missing tryptophan, which is an essential amino acid for making serotonin and melatonin. So actually overdosing on collagen can actually reduce your absorption of some of the other amino acids that you need for a healthy balance as well.
Right, and collagen, I understand, is quite a large molecule, correct?
It is. So to actually absorb it, your body needs to break it up into small peptides or amino acids to absorb it. And then your body then needs to put it back together again where it decides. So if you have a protein deficit in your diet and you take collagen, it will be sort of beneficial, but it's not going to go to your skin because your body will decide where to send the amino acids, and then it will make it into whatever proteins it wants, not necessarily collagen.
Oh, what other protein? This is fascinating. You see, look, says, I almost bought into the collagen.
Yeah, so you are actually just better increasing your protein in your diet, and that in itself would then help improve your skin elasticity and your collagen and your muscles and tendons. So yeah,
because it's everywhere. Everyone swears.
Yeah, and it can, because probably a lot of these people that are taking it are protein deficient already, and it is providing a source of protein, but it's not targeted. It isn't going to be targeted being made back into collagen. Your body can decide to make it into something totally different.
Oh, it just makes me laugh because there's so many influencers who sell collagen supplements. I mean, just especially in the retirement community type ones I've seen. Like, you'll get people talking about, the world's coming to an end. They'll be like, get my collagen supplement, or it's
but
been a miracle.
If you want a quick and easy collagen supplement that you can make at home,
then
it's gelatin. So you'll hear people of doing what do you call it? What do you call it? It's like bovine soup. It's the
the bone broth. Is that the bone?
Yeah. So what I do think that probably there is a lot of people that don't have as much collagen in the diet if you're having processed food, because what people used to do was you used to have your meal and take the meat off an animal, and then you used to actually use the rest of the animal to make a soup.
Correct.
And that way you would be getting all the collagen out of the bones and the ligaments and everything, because you would boil it. Oh yeah, that's it, bone broth.
Right.
So, so you would boil it and you would get your bone broth, and then you would use that as a base for soup.
Now they're saying here a pharmacist gives collagen supplements because it may help with arthritis.
Yes, so because so they're thinking that you're targeting the collagen in your joints because you've got collagen in your joints. And increasing your protein in your diet will then allow your body to make collagen. But as I said, if you take collagen, your body's going to break it down to the amino acids, and then it's going to be up to your body whether it uses it to treat your arthritis or whether it uses it to treat your skin. You're not going to be able to tell it when you eat it, I want you to go to that part of the body.
Okay.
So increasing protein and collagen in your diet overall may help.
Okay.
But yes, it's not a magic cure-all. It's more about increasing the amount of amino acids in your diet.
Interesting. Because obviously, people, it's interesting to hear, because obviously, you know, they do use these things in the medical industry too. Because, you know,
and I
but we've
would say
always
that
sorry,
if
go
there is
ahead.
a reason why you can't have protein in your diet, if you have to avoid foods that are high in protein for whatever reason, taking a protein supplement, which may or may not be collagen, could help increase up your amino acids.
Okay.
So I would say it's something to discuss with your dietitian of, am I getting sufficient protein in my diet of the correct kind? Do I need to take a supplement to enhance that?
Right, and then in this
like
case, the pharmacist is going to probably point you into the direction of the right type of supplement that's more approved
and then
by pharmacists.
They can make sure that you're taking the right collagen supplement that's not overpriced, that is actually coming from the correct source. So there's 3 different sources. You've got your bovine, your chicken, and your vegetarian. Although vegetarian collagen is not collagen.
No,
Vegetarian
it's like
collagen is just amino acids that have got the same makeup as collagen that have come from plant sources.
Right.
It's already broken down. So actually, plant collagen probably is the easier to absorb.
Right. Because I've heard too about, you know, it has to be like, sometimes it almost needs to be suspended in order to be digested rather than these powders that, you know, maybe affects it. There's so much involved, I think, with, you know, supplements and, you know, because they are really coming from food sources, I believe, and how then we produce them as a supplementation.
Can't remember which MLM it was, but they had the supplement that they were selling, and everybody was raving about how amazing this supplement was until they found out there was a whole load of people that were pooping out capsule still whole.
Right. That was the Awakened, I want to say. Was
that
the Awakened?
So nobody actually absorbed it. It purely was the placebo effect because it wasn't even dissolving in the stomach. It was just coming out. Like,
they had such thick vegan capsules that it was just going straight through the gastric system. The gastric juices did not break it down.
Well, that does prove when you've got tablets with medication, they've been through a very strict pharmaceutical sort of process of checking the bioavailability. They've checked the pharmacokinetics. They check it dissolves in the stomach. They check it's absorbed into the bloodstream and what percentage is into the bloodstream, whether it's getting the serum levels, where the serum levels are at what time. So if the peak and then how long it lasts for, and that's why you'll get some medications that are once a day or 3 times a day, because they know that it goes into the system and then how quickly it comes out. And they measure all of that. They do all of that testing to know exactly what it is. With supplements, all they're doing is quite often is just putting that supplement in the capsule. And even if they check and do third-party checking to check that they've got the correct quantity in the tablet, hardly any of them have ever done actual pharmacological testing to check whether it gets into the bloodstream.
Right.
So a lot of these supplement companies, they've never actually tested whether it gets into somebody's bloodstream. And then even if they get into bloodstream, they've not actually tested whether it actually has the outcome that they wanted.
Right. And I think that that's why a lot of times if you're actually getting prescribed by the physician, you are going to get a script that goes to the pharmacist, which gives a little bit of a grade quality. Or, you know, if the doctor said, well, get one off the shelf, then going to the pharmacist and saying, which of the brands would you recommend is better? I certainly would steer clear of anybody that's an influencer trying to say this is a miracle.
Yeah, so like in this country, you would go to somewhere. So if you were wanting to buy a supplement and things, you would go to one that's a big brand that also does other pharmaceutical things. So you'd buy sort of your supplements that from Boots or Superdrug or somewhere where they also make the medications.
Right.
So you actually know that them companies actually do all the testing.
Right.
Whereas if you've got a company that's only been set up for making 1 or 2 supplements, they don't have that background of doing the testing.
Right. And they could just have a proprietary blend. They may not even have the amount of
the
they have.
You have no idea what's in them. Yes, they might, but there might just be one microgram of that ingredient.
Right.
And they wrote it on there, but
right. And they're charging exorbitant amounts of money sometimes for it. It's insane. The supplement industry here in the United States is enormous. And so I think really what we're just trying to say is, be cautious when you get something like a lipedema diagnosis. So if you get on Google and you start reading about the miracles of magnesium or something for the disorder, that's a conversation with your provider, because I know a lot of people, you know, especially with the cost of healthcare, and they want to think that a supplement sounds more natural, I think is what it is. Like, I could do this with supplements and I could get results, and then I don't have to take the drugs. And I think that there's a misunderstanding that these, though they're not classified as drugs, still have an effect on the human body and can interact with your drugs if you prescribe.
Well, yeah, there is so many things. If it's going to have an effect, so if something has an effect, that effect can be good or bad. So if somebody claims that it's got a good effect, that also means that it could potentially have a bad effect. So if it's active, then it's active. If it's not active, then it's not going to be positive or negative. So anybody that says that it can be good and there is no side effects, it can't be, because, you know, anything that is, you know, active and causes a good effect potentially could be a bad effect, especially in different people. So what could be needed in one person isn't needed in another person, and therefore they'll get a bad effect.
Right. And I think it's just, Rosebud says her brother is big on supplements. I tell him that I only take what my doctor says I need. Oh, men love the supplements. Keeps them away from the doctors, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say, Cal said, I do like Macattac. He's great. If it has no side effects, it has no effects. So Macattac is a pharmacist as well.
Correct. Yes. He's hilarious. I obviously haven't done
He's got a lot more stuff than me.
Yeah, he's got more. He's got more what?
Sass.
Sorry, sass. Oh yeah, he's sassy. He's definitely.
I read somebody, what's my opinion on zinc?
Gosh,
the trouble is, it is beneficial in healing, but you don't need to take in massive doses. So it is one of the things I am going to be doing a thing about vitamin C and zinc.
Yes.
I wouldn't.
British cure for the cold.
Yeah, you probably, you know, there is a teeny bit of evidence that making sure that you've got enough vitamin C and zinc during helping you fight off an infection is useful, but yeah, you don't need it in mega doses and long term. A multivitamin that contains zinc is probably all you need.
Right.
I probably wouldn't take a separate zinc supplement. I would just take a multivitamin that's got zinc if you feel as though you don't have the nuts and seeds and things in your diet that might contain the zinc.
Right. And Des is making a good point, especially here in the United States.
I was going to say, that's not much of a problem in the UK. We do actually have a better system for sick leave in the UK than the US. But again, there is still a lot of people, especially if they own their own businesses and such, like, they don't have time to take time off.
And see, in this United States, I mean, like I was letting you know, the supplement industry is huge here. I mean, absolutely huge. And there are so many people that sell. That's why the MLMs and the supplements are such a big business here, and why you see so many coming out of the United States, because the supplement industry is huge. It's so unregulated. They were able to get that taken care of through the political system here. And ever since then, they just get to go wild with the claims. I mean, it's wild. It's wild. So,
Have you seen that? So, vitamin B. So, again, mega supplements. I would never give any mega supplements of any vitamins. B6, if you take that in mega doses, you can actually get neuropathy, which can be really severe and can be non-reversible. So, vitamin B12, I would always say check with your doctor and get your levels done, because if you're low on vitamin B12, it probably might be because you've got permissions, might be because you can't actually absorb it, and then you actually have to have it by injections.
Right. Or you could be like me and be a vegan and be advised by your doctor to eat.
So obviously, if you are vegan, then yes, you may want to supplement with your B, but you don't need to do mega doses. You just take normal supplements.
I just take the daily B complex, you know, with it has a bunch of different B vitamins, and it's
the one time that B vitamins is used, and especially thiamine, and I will probably go on that tangent back. is in alcoholics.
I was about to say that's the alcoholics.
Yeah, that's the tangent back to the alcohol that we need to get to.
Thinking of the banana bag.
It is 9:30 here in the UK,
Yeah.
so we'll probably have to speed
Yeah,
things along a bit.
Yeah, we're gonna speed along. Let's speed along. Let's get to the next part of our treatment plan because we can go on about the supplements all day long.
Yeah,
but there really isn't a lot. Okay, so don't go and suggest a bunch of supplements to Anna because there's very little.
No, I will be. I'll be suggesting. I don't know whether she does anything on the lymphatic flow.
Right. Now, do we want to touch anything on the medications before we go to that lymphatic flow? Anything else with the, we talked about the weight loss drugs and having it potentially anti-inflammatory. Would that be something they would stay on long term? Would that be part of it with lipedema?
No,
or what meds would they tend to prescribe? Real fast.
I don't really know. Yeah.
If there were any.
Yeah. I would just be saying it would be, 200 doses of it. Oh, no.
Gosh, yeah, because it's the US, so we got to go a little bit over the top, guys. You know how it is.
that is a little bit crazy. That's probably because,
you know how it is in the States. We either go big or go home. We can't just have it in small doses. We got to go mega.
If you need that much to actually get it to be absorbed, then you need to be getting it as an injection.
Right. That may be for somebody who's having, I know with disorders, and not to get off topic, I believe it's the one where you get kind of half facial paralysis, Bell's palsy. I understand that maybe my ex-husband had to get B12 shots.
Yeah.
In order to help him kind of with the Bell's palsy. I just remember having to give him backside injections.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily for most people. That's for specific types of disorders, correct? You would be getting those B12 injections and so forth. All right. Let's talk. So were there any medications? Anything left?
The medication, I would think that they would be for treating any pain that comes with it, of which I don't know. They may want to have short-term use of sort of the NSAIDs as anti-inflammatory. They may help, ibuprofen, naproxen. We don't tend to use aspirin over in this country for pain because the doses needed are too sort of harsh on the stomach.
Yeah, the same.
They may want short courses of an NSAID if it's inflammation that's causing the pain. But it's that's not good long term because they can be very harsh on the stomach and the kidneys. It's not something that you would want to take long term.
Right. And here in the US, where we have, not to interrupt, so many people with cardiac disease, they really don't like to put those folks on NSAIDs at all.
Exactly. Because so the ones that got banned, so rofeproxib got banned because it actually caused a quite significant increase in heart disease.
Right.
So naproxen and ibuprofen are the two that have the lowest risk of heart disease.
Right.
And they tend to be the two that use. But again, you wouldn't be wanting to use them long term. I doubt paracetamol's probably going to do much for the chronic pain.
Right.
Opioids.
We don't really use that here in the US. Paracetamol much more common in the UK than the US.
Yeah, well, it's called acetaminophen for you as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and you rarely hear that being people taking.
I was going to say it can be a very good basis for a lot of pain and for reducing temperature, sort of.
Right. And that's what I grew up hearing all the time in the UK. That's what everyone had when they didn't feel good. They got a paracetamol.
Yeah.
I just remember.
Yeah, so it's a good old joke. Why don't you get headaches in a tropical rainforest? Because
I don't know. Okay, I fell right into that. It says finding women's multi without big doses of most B vitamins. I wondered if there's a legit reason or if the companies are trying to stop each other. Why?
I get really concerned that near enough every sort of multivitamin and things, they all have vitamin B6 in. So it doesn't matter what you get. So if you get lots of different vitamins, they all have B6 in. So you're going to end up overdosing on vitamin B6.
It's like, they think everybody is needing energy, or
Yeah, well, yeah, and the other thing is that they're all in your energy drinks as well.
Right.
The energy drinks have all your B vitamins in them as well to try and increase
the energy. That's for the energy, I'm
Yeah, but they
thinking.
don't provide immediate energy. They're not. I know. Yeah, so then I was going to say, opioid pain relief doesn't really work well on chronic pain and nerve
Yeah, I was
pain.
gonna get to the
It works
control
for cancer
narcotic.
pain, it works for acute pain, but I would not want to put anybody on an opioid. So all you're going to get is tolerance, increasing dosage, increasing side effects, and it's not actually. And then you can actually have something called hyperalgesia with opioids. If you treat for long enough with it, you'll then actually get pain because of the opioid.
Right. You mean you don't want to just stick them on some MS Cotton, BID, and call it a day?
No. So yeah, so why you'd be very, very dubious about starting an opioid, because otherwise you're just going to end up escalating the doses. They've shown that in chronic pain, really opioids don't particularly work. They don't work on the correct pathways.
Right.
So,
yeah, and I think that's why I joked about the MS Cotton, because that was one of the big, I think, pretty pharma drugs that they were trying to say, you know, were able to be, was it oxycodone as well?
yeah.
In
Yeah,
order
I know
to,
it's been a much bigger spike in sort of opioids in America than it has been in the UK, but we still do have sort of hotspots, and we still do have a lot of people that are on chronic pain with opioids, and they're still in pain because it's
right.
not answering, but then they can't get off it because the side effects for the withdrawal are so awful.
Right. And I would never want to be on them anyway, because the
No,
constipation.
I wouldn't. All
Oh,
the time I've been, and I sit and have discussions with my doctor, and it's the last thing I want to do is be on a strong opioid. There's no way. I do have a weak opioid as codeine as occasional pain relief, and I try and just keep that. So when I take it, I only take it at night, so it's not affecting me. And because I like to know my pain levels during the day, because then I can adjust my exercise levels and activity during the day, and then take it to get good night's sleep. But yeah, strong opioids, yeah, they're not going to be an answer for this type of chronic pain. But I'm wondering whether they'd probably use things for neuropathic pain that act specifically on the nerves. So I'm thinking along the lines of tricyclic antidepressants, the amitriptyline,
okay.
so they can help on nerve pain. So they possibly may try them.
Right. Doesn't that have potential to get like tardive dyskinesia if you take those for an extended period of time?
Yeah, it's very, very low risk. It is known, but they are generally in the doses that you use for neuropathic pain. You're using very low doses.
Okay.
You can start very low and just titrate up, and they can help with sleep and such like as well. So
it's amazing that the number of conditions that amitriptyline actually can help outside of its.
Amitriptyline is an amazing drug. It's licensed for depression, but I don't think anybody prescribes it for depression anymore, because the dosage you need for that is through the roof. But they use it for so many other things. So it's very useful in the prevention of migraines.
Right.
For neuropathic pain. You can also use it for bedwetting.
Oh my goodness.
There's loads of random stuff that amitriptyline is great at treating.
Yeah. And it's a really old first class generation antipsychotic, correct?
Yeah, we use it for helping with insomnia, although I wouldn't recommend that because obviously you're then going to end up on it long term. Insomnia is best treating for insomnia is CBT.
Oh, that's interesting.
And sleep hygiene and CBT is the best for treating insomnia, because
Right. And sleep hygiene can be difficult because people like to have televisions in the room and have weird habits.
Oh, yes.
Come on in. We're starting to finish up, but we're glad everyone's coming on through. So let's get over, because so anything to add to the med supplements, and we're going to move over to the improved lymphatic. We're going to go to the flow now.
I was going to say, with the obesity side of it, yes, we've already talked about the GLP ones. I'm not sure. I don't think they would want to go down the orlistat route.
Okay.
For weight loss, because that just stops you absorbing fat. That's not actually going to do anything to help your metabolism.
Right. So I wonder when they put her on Wegovy, were they putting her on for the obesity weight loss or for any type of pain management or anti-inflammatory for
They
the
would have been
lipedema?
putting her on it for the fat loss. I don't think they would have probably researched it for the anti-inflammatory side of
Right.
it.
So, because I don't know if she's still remaining on that medication, but it seems that, if they're starting to show studies that it can help with the inflammation and help her with any weight loss that's been caused through obesity, that maybe it would be beneficial for her to remain on the drug, or are you only supposed to take it for like a year and then you're out?
Some people, well, when you take it for diabetes, you're on it for long term. You're on it for, I think it'll help long term because your diabetes, although you can get your diabetes controlled, your diabetes is never going to disappear, and it'll always help. But yeah, when it comes to weight loss, it usually is that you use it until you reach your goal, and then you titrate off it.
Right, right. And I don't know if Anna reached her goal. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm just Cal saying, CBT risky for people with psychotic tendencies. So CBT for the general population is fine, but yes, there are people with certain severe mental health disorders where CBT doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why it should be led by a therapist, not try to get onto YouTube channels and find someone trying to leave you
So
CBT.
when we would recommend using sort of CBT, so we in the NHS is trialing a CBT for insomnia app that helps people.
Right.
There's a lot of people don't want to actually go and
Oh,
sit and talk to somebody about it, and you can do all the
interesting.
CBT via an app. But if somebody has got any other any other mental health disorders, they would go via their psychiatrist and the mental health trust first for assessment to decide on how to go through it. We wouldn't say for them to do CBT. They would have to go through their the psychiatric team.
Right. And obviously
Yeah,
we're
I was going to
talking
say,
about
yes, it
people.
doesn't work for PTSD. It doesn't work either because, PTSD, there's a real reason why you're having flashbacks causing so no amount of CBT is going to get rid of the flashbacks that are preventing you sleeping.
Right. That's a whole different.
You need to have treatment for the PTSD.
Right. Right. Whole different area of mental health.
It is, and you would need to see a mental health specialist to actually treat PTSD.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the answer for that.
And Desiree says, I have lipedema. I am sore after weaning my garden.
Oh, bless. And that's it. There is a big pain thing. It isn't just fat. It is. There's the pain there.
Right. And so let's go quickly over to that lymphatic flow and tell us what you've understood, because there's a lot. And I never see any of these girls talking about this stuff. I had to laugh because the vibrate and pump at the end.
Yeah, right. That's not exactly how you were thinking.
Oh, I know, but it was. I love the double entendre. So,
I think what they were thinking was the have you the vibration plates where you sort of provide that vibration through your legs.
Oh, okay. And I know they have those body suits that they put on for the like for the massage. I'm wondering if that's the pump and vibrate.
Yeah. And the pump is so you've got compression garments, which is your sort of first line. So we actually have a whole you've got the whole sizing and everything that you can get on NHS prescriptions for your lymphedema garments, and you can get them for your hands, your the lower arm, the upper arm, and the thing, and you measure the person and then get them actually made to size.
Correct. And it's the same here in the US. You have to go to a specific medical supply place that deals with patients with lipedema and lymphedema specifically and sell these garments in order for you, if you haven't had the measurement through your vein specialist, then you would have them do a measurement. And you have to go in, make an appointment. It's not like you just walk in and pick up a garment and head out the door.
Yeah, no. So we've got the lymphedema nurses that will do all the measurements, write the prescription, and then even and then a long time, sometimes the pharmacist can do all the measurements and send off. We've probably got a few companies in the UK that we rotate between, depending on who's got stocks and such like. But yeah, they all get sort of specially made. well, there might be sort of thing, but you've got to be specially measured to get the correct one. And then you've got different gradings. So you've got a low, medium, and high compression grading on them as well. But
Right.
yeah, they're not the most nice looking.
Right.
You quite often can get them in white, black, or nude.
Right. And how long are they recommending? Do they change depending on the patient? How long you would wear it in the day?
So you would usually, well, we usually say you have 2 pairs, and then you can replace them every 6 months. But you quite often need to get remeasured in case you've changed size, either reduced or increased.
Right, because I know in the respect of like daily use, like you're supposed to leave it on for a certain amount of time and then take it off. So Anna,
I don't know about that. My answer would be ask your lymphedema nurse.
Right.
The patient asked me that.
I've never seen Anna in a compression stocking.
No, but I do think they need to wear them for a pretty decent amount of time. Maybe taking them off for bathing, taking them off maybe occasionally sleeping. But I would say you probably should be wearing them the majority of the time while you're up. And
here we go. Desiree says, I wear once a day for an hour for the all body machine. Yeah, for the body machine. Do you wear compressions along with that?
Yeah, so that's what they mean as the pump machine. It's like you actually forcibly provide that compression.
Right, and I've never seen Anna show us one in her apartment. Like, oh, you get compression
all the time.
Voila, exactly. And so I wonder, with Anna being in a hot climate place like Austin, Texas, it just is, and the way she lives her life, and the way she's a fashion girly, to be putting what she needs to do, which she's not done. Because I feel like she's gotten to a much later stage. Oh, the kitty's so cute.
Oh, yeah, he's winding me up. He wants attention.
Oh, that she is not doing a lot of these treatments. I feel like she's not doing this improving the lymphatic flow part.
I'm sure they're very uncomfortable and probably may cause more pain to start with.
Right.
No. To deal with it.
Yeah, definitely not while the machine's going, but I think it's recommended probably through general use through the day until sleeping.
I can imagine that they are painful. So, I could understand why people might not want to comply. And getting compression stockings on and off can be horrendous. I remember having to do it for my granny, and it's like,
it's very slow. It's slow, it's long. I had to wear them after my vein procedure, and I was just like,
yeah,
you can't just pull them up like hose. You've got to put them on to make sure that evenly up the body.
Yeah, and I know there is different devices and things to try and help, but I bet they don't help all that much.
Right. And
especially the biggest might have all the manual difficulties, because I would guess for a lot of people, they might even need to have a second person do that for them. They may not even be able to reach down and get to their feet to put them on. Just thinking of the mobility of getting there.
Right. And I just, with her, like I said, being a fashion girly, she just doesn't ever talk about this. Okay, so they obviously wear the compressions and they get wrapped too. Now, how often is the wrapping? Because that's a very specific type of wrap from a therapist or the lymphedema nurse. Do you know anything about? I guess that's particular.
I don't know about. I know that patients have had it, but it's not something as a pharmacist we do. We just deal with actually giving out the actual hosiery on prescription.
Right. Okay. Interesting. And I know it's prescription here too. Like, it is a prescription. This is not like going on Amazon and finding a pair of compressions. That's not
just go buy some. It's not just go and buy some leggings. It's actual medical grade quality compression.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Let's get down to this.
Inside out.
And they talk about doing the massage for the lymphatic drainage, like the self, and getting that that particular massage, dry brushing. Breathe deeply. This was interesting. What do you know why they may recommend that?
No idea. Although I did think with all of these things, they're going to have to do a lot to keep the skin integrity with wearing the compression and doing different things. So you'd need to actually make sure that, maybe making sure your skin is hydrated, moisturized, got barrier on them. Oh, that's good. It's good that you've never got to that point. Let's hope you don't.
Yes, I'm so glad. There is an easy way to put them on and just turn them inside out and to put the socks on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the sort of thing that would be really helpful, would be an influencer actually saying,
right,
here's how to put your compression stockings on easily. That would be a great thing for an influencer to do, saying, you've got to wear these horrid compression stockings. Here's an easy way to put them on. Here's how I've found some tricks to do this. That'll
right.
help you. And then here's how to make your clothing look the best while you're wearing these.
Right, but she's not going to lean into it like that, I don't think. I feel
Well,
that's not her brand.
that an influencer could really help somebody with. Going, are you struggling to get them on your leg? Here's a way to do it.
I know that's what we would love to see these people do with their large platforms. And I think that's why I love having this conversation, is because that's not what we're seeing her do. We're not seeing her discuss any of these other treatments that she should be doing. Like, this is something I'm taking seriously. I've had to start wearing the compressions. Let's make it cute. I'm going to see the therapist. I'm getting the lymphatic massage. Here's me dry brushing. She's just like, I'm going to the surgeon. Don't talk to me about it. Almost, don't give me advice. Don't give me suggestions, which is true because they're not medical professionals necessarily. They don't know her body. But it just feels like you're right. Now, the exercise, we're just going to get here real fast.
Yeah, I was going to say, Desiree said that you actually put a pillowcase on inside out, do it like that, which really does make sense. That is how I put my pillowcases on. You have it inside out, you grab the two corners, and then you sort of pull it down. Yeah.
That's good advice, Desiree.
Really good.
That's very good advice. And that would be something, and Anna's showing and demonstrating, but I think for her to show the struggle with her leg and to show the sizing, she wouldn't want to do it. She would be, I think she has too much vanity. Too much vanity. Okay. I was going to show this, but we're getting late. I'm just going to show how different she used to look real quick. This used to be what Anna used to look like 5 years ago. I don't know if you can see. She supposedly drank an entire box of Advent wine calendar here. She just looks so different.
So again, I can't say too much. No. I could eat a whole chocolate Advent calendar in one go.
Well, I'll show you the 12 nights of wine real fast. This is the 12 nights.
Okay. So
that was what it looked like.
Oh, so the decent portions on each day. So
yeah, but she drank the whole thing in one night.
Oh yeah, well at least with the chocolate Advent calendar, you're getting like a little piece like that, aren't you? That's just like a little taster. And so eating the whole thing is like just eating one big chocolate bar, but that is, probably a bit too much.
So what about alcohol in this disorder? Because what I understand, it's not advised. Well,
I would say probably not good for the blood flow. It's probably not good because obviously there's high amount of calories for alcohol, isn't it? So it's more towards the fat side on the calories.
And a little inflammatory, from what I understand.
Well, you can probably get some antioxidants in your red wine. There's some antioxidants in your red wine, probably counteracted by the oxidants in the alcohol, but
because that's one of the things they say is the cause of a hangover is actually due to the inflammation that you experience from drinking the alcohol. So I wonder if you have something where you're trying to stick to an anti-inflammatory diet, because
you wouldn't be
that alcohol and lipedema may not go hand in hand.
2 glasses in each, that's 24 glasses. Ooh.
So
that's probably over the weekly recommended amount, not just the daily recommended amount.
So, and she literally says here, I drank an entire wine Advent calendar in one night. Here is my drunk review.
even take. I'm assuming that there were different ones each night so that you could get different tastes. At some point, you're just not going to taste them anymore, are you?
Right. So let's see. Real fast. We'll play her for 2 seconds. Just for fun to see how she reviews this, and we'll get back to the treatment. Because I don't know if drinking 12 is a good plan. But this is what she said 5 years ago.
French. This is cuvée de drôle, de monde, excusez. That's not how you say it. I don't know how you say it, but that's a bunch of French words. Some like French people down here playing in the grass. Yeah. I don't know what this is. But we're gonna drink it either way. Okay, so this one is also awesome. It's a lighter red. I feel like these are definitely like real pours. They're not annapours because annapours would be like up to here. So I might make it to like glass 9 before I'm totally cuckoo. But this is also
right, we'll see her
sauce is catchy as hell. I wish I had more things I could wrap up for Christmas. I'm gonna take some things here, put them in a bag that's clear, and then I'll wrap them on up for Christmas. Wrap it on up for Christmas. Wrap it on up for Christmas. Wrap it on up for Christmas. And this is here where you insert the rap solo.
All right, we're gonna speed her along. She keeps going.
I'm gonna go eat some chicken wings and watch some Top Chef.
Drinking wine or drinking
That's
with
what
people?
8 glasses of wine Anna wants to do.
Repeat that, Eloise.
Does that count as drinking alone or drinking with people if you're live streaming at home? You don't usually drink alone for that amount. If you're gonna be drinking a lot, it's because you're out having fun with people, not just sat at home. When you sat at
I don't
home,
know if she was going through a breakup at that time.
Oh,
I don't know. It was 5 years ago. I'm not sure what she was going through at the time.
No, she's not a connoisseur.
It's a 30-minute video of her drinking the entire wine, which we showed you the calendar.
I don't even know why that makes
glasses of wine she took down that night. I don't know if that helped her lipedema.
No, you just have to. You just don't taste the differences. If you're going to try different things, you try them on different nights so that you can appreciate the taste of each one.
Yeah, you're not going to taste the subtle flavors. No, I don't think she was going for that. Her cooking videos are always drunk.
Okay, is that where half a bottle of wine is in the food and half a bottle of wine is down?
Oh, gosh. Who was the name of that cook in England who was so famous for that? He was
I can't remember.
Do you remember the cooking show where the gentleman?
Yeah, I do remember.
Like
one for me, one for that.
Yeah, a splash of wine for the dish and a big old glass for me over here. And I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was just sloshed the entire time. And that was British television, probably like Saturday night peak hours on BBC One. Because what would a nation rather do than watch some gentleman cook food and get drunk? Okay, so anyway, let's go back over to the treatment because we just wanted to show that I did do some investigation about Anna and her potentially drinking. We don't know if she still does this now.
Okay, boy, that's it.
But she did. Oh, there's Junebug. Okay, all right. So the exercising, there's actually lymphatic yoga and the aquatic. So you were big on it.
Imagine. Some of the yoga poses would be very useful for sort of improving things. I do feel, when I've done yoga and Pilates and things, they do very good for sort of increasing the circulation.
Okay, because they talked about cycling, which I've never seen Anna on a bike, and rebounding. I don't even know what that is.
And you can say, and even if you can't do a balance on an actual cycle, you can go to the gym and use the recumbent bike or the stable bikes at the gym. To actually get that movement in your legs, because I'm not safe on an actual bike. I've got no coordination at doing that. But I've been going to the gym and I've been on the recline bike. Yeah, that gets circulation going.
Right, and I don't think I ever see her on a bike doing any of that type of stuff. She definitely should stick with aquatic exercise. She should just say she's walking. give up the running, Anna, for the moment. It's not actually benefiting your disorder. And then we have that. Okay, so this help your body ideal with lipedema. So this was interesting. It says build muscle strength, especially quads, and we do see her doing squats and things. Would that be okay for people with lipedema and hypermobility?
I would more worry about her knees and the thing, but there's different ways to do squats to put less strain on your knees.
Okay,
Even if you do squats while you're actually holding on to a bench to sort of stabilize yourself.
Right, and I may want to see her with more knee supports around her knees while she's doing these exercises. I know they don't look cute, Anna, but you may just want to give that. Are they effective? Getting that extra support at those like little compression things over the knees? I know runners love those
I
things.
have one knee supports anyway, but that's because of my ligaments in my knees.
Right? Do you find it beneficial?
I was watching this. There's an Instagram thing of she's trying to lose weight as a plus size girl, and she was showing sort of if you can't do squats, there's the machine that you can use in the gym where you push, so you're not actually having to hold your weight, you're only pushing the weight that you put on the machine because you're laid on your back. You're doing the same squat movement, but without your body weight.
Right.
And she's great because she's a plus size girl who's trying to lose weight at the gym, and she's showing how to modify movements if your stomach or your bum's getting in the way, but how you can still use the machine and modify your movements to still do things. And that is the sort of thing.
It was Graham Kerr. He had a different name. It was something Floyd, I want to say.
No, it was Keith Floyd.
Keith Floyd.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody put that up there recently.
Yeah, so somebody did put that up there, yeah.
Yes, thank you guys. It wasn't the other one. Though the Galloping Gourmet may have taken Keith Floyd's stick.
Oh, yeah. Desiree's putting about sort of liposuction when we get on that.
Yeah. This is what we're gonna go right there real quick. Because they said investigate it, but let's talk about that real fast because we gotta wrap this up so that our pharmacist Eloise can get to sleep.
I was going to say 10 p.m. here in the UK now.
Yeah.
So all the UK peeps will be wanting to get into their PJs.
Yes, it's getting headed to bedtime in the UK. The BBC is about to play the national anthem and wind it up for the night. Do they do that anymore? Do they do that? Do they still play the national anthem?
Although we are past the 9 o'clock threshold, so you can put a little bit of swearing on now.
No, but do they do that anymore? Because I remember, like back in the day, like you would finish like watching a Hammer House of Horror movie, and then suddenly the world globe would come up with the national anthem, and they would
have the sort of the news at 10 and that still if you watch BBC, but I don't. I tend to watch everything on replay nowadays.
I just miss the glory days of the Globe and the national anthem.
Well,
at the end of the BBC broadcast for the evening.
You only have the 4 channels to watch. I remember when Channel 5 came and we had 5 channels to watch.
Oh my God. Shoot, I remember when ITV went on strike and we were stuck with BBC One and whatever they had on half a day on BBC Two.
Yeah.
Which was Open University and cricket most of the time.
I don't mind either, but
and occasionally I would try to get to Friday to the Old Grey Whistle Test. That was the only decent show on BBC Two at the time. But it was literally just the Open University. And then you had BBC One, where there was nothing really on the television except in the evening. And in the daytime, they just had, Bilbo Baggins and cricket.
Yeah.
And the gentleman, the one who used to go into the wardrobe. Oh, what was his name? Mr. Somebody. Oh, Mr. Do you remember who I met in the children's show? Oh my goodness. It was the guy who used to go into the closet and we'd be like, get into the magic wardrobe. Oh, I know people know it. It shows you how old I am. Okay. All right. And they used to have, what was it? Jack and Nori. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember all that was literally what came on like a couple of children's shows for 30 minutes. Okay. So They talk about doing more conservative treatments.
all of them first, but then it's the last stage to go on to liposuction.
Right. And here in the United States, which is interesting for Anna, because I don't know how she carries her insurance, or if she's just going to private pay, self-pay, because many insurance plans here require patients to attempt conservative treatments. And I knew this through when I was getting my veins treated, before they will consider coverage for invasive procedures.
Yeah.
And also, continue.
If it's the same in the UK, we, you would have to go through all the different stages before you get a referral to the consultant, and then the consultant again would make sure that you've gone through everything else you possibly can before they would even consider surgery.
Right. And then Anna had that video, and she was in the doctor's because she's discussing surgical options. That's where she was when she was sitting in the gown on the table, or on the little patient table. And she was there for a surgical consult, from what I read. So I think that Desiree brought up a good point, because she talked about the liposuction. So
I was going to say, because there's so many, it's so vascularized, it's such a big risk. It's not like the normal sort of liposuction that you could have sort of for your abdominal fat, where you can just stick I don't know if anybody's ever watched any of the videos of them actually doing a liposuction. It is really brutal. Really, really brutal. They literally stick a metal rod in there, ram it around to loosen all the fat cells, and then suck it out. It's really, really brutal. And if you've got,
oh my God, it's so aggressive. It's so
if you've got fat cells that are so infiltrated with small blood vessels, doing that, you're just going to bleed out. I can imagine it being very dangerous.
Right. And it's sort of like, I feel her narrative is that I'm going to correct this with surgery, because the diet and exercise is not what's going to help me out. And she's never talked about any of these other modalities that we spoke about, with the wrapping, the massage, the compressions. I've never heard her ever approach those as a topic. She's just straight to surgery, like, quick fix me. Because and her diet has never been good.
Yeah, it's not going to. And you might be able to remove fat from a certain area, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to come back, that you're not going to have scar tissue and pain and everything from the scar tissue. And you could have so many more complications. I'm assuming there might be extra complications of blood clots and things following it.
Right.
Infections. There's just so many things for going for major surgery.
Right. And I think that's what concerns me about Anna's narrative as an RN, is how she is, using what often is considered a much easier option. Think about how Foodie talks about wanting to get weight loss surgery and just waking up with a six-pack ab. It's like the surgery is the quick fix. And I think that's where we need to educate and inform people that maybe it's not.
No,
and I don't think Anna's presenting that.
And the anesthetic risk as well, going under anesthetic.
Right.
And any sort of, breathing issues and such like.
Right. And if you're maybe a larger size body, there could be more considerations about, the weight and the lungs.
Well, there is quite a lot of times, I don't know whether you have the same rules in the US, but in the UK, there is sort of things that you've got to be of a certain BMI to be able to have certain operations, or show that you've at least had a 5 or 10% weight loss before you have surgery. So to get weight loss surgery on the NHS, well, you've got to jump through 3 or 4 different tiers of help. And then when you get there, you've actually got to show that you've actually maintained a 5 to 10% weight loss to go for the surgery, so that they know that you're already on the correct diet and lifestyle to then continue the weight loss post-surgery.
Right. And it's like, at this point they put here really important, and I think this is what Anna should try to have. It says, moreover, some surgeons will not operate until the patient, which you pointed out, first establishes healthy routines with conservative treatments. Surgery may not correct the underlying issues, and the patients will still need healthy conservative treatment habits after surgery.
Yeah, you've got to continue going in the right direction. So after surgery, you're not just going to undo the surgeon's work. You're not just going to undo it all and go back.
Right, right. And I think, I wish she would have a better conversation around this disorder, because this is a great opportunity to really get people. We saw how little research, how little money, and how many women are affected from this disorder. And it's an opportunity for her really to use a platform. And I feel like she's doing the quick fix and no diet, and I can't do it through diet and exercise, And I just really dislike that narrative from her.
Yeah.
I got soapboxy there. Okay. So we talked about all the, obviously the emotional therapies, and they talk about physical therapies as well. We talked about they have therapists that they work with, and they have all sorts of folks. I mean, physical therapists, occupational therapists, massage therapists. And I've never heard Anna talk about working with any of these people. She works with fitness trainers, Copilot, BetterHelp, Run Lab, Quest nutrition balls, which are absolute garbage. There's even a nutrition guidebook here. If anybody, I did put these links in my description box, and if you do want to take a one, and Eloise has her UK version, because sometimes we do, have different measurement styles sometimes, surprisingly.
Oh, we just like to add an extra letter into the spelling of it.
Yes. And there's some spelling things that go on too, but I'm sure the nutrition. I'm interested to look at this with cheekbones one day, and talk about. And it says that helps people identify practical changes to eat healthier foods that can support people with lipedema, lymphedema. And I feel like she's never done a healthy diet. She eats all those processed balls and then that lasagna,
You can make a healthy lasagna.
Yeah, but she didn't though.
Yes,
How would you make the healthy lasagna? Because that's not what Anna popped out.
Making sure. So my daughter likes adding in. So instead of just the mince, we add in lots of extra veg. So whenever we make sort of like the bolognese thing with the mince, we always throw in tons of extra veg. So she likes to grate in a courgette in there. We throw the peas, sweet corn, some peppers, some mushrooms. Really bulk it out with lots of veg and not as much meat. Then you don't need to put, you can make the layers sort of bigger so that you don't need to put as much pasta and as much. Well, I have a cheeseless one because I'm allergic to cheese anyway. So I put mushrooms in the top and there's no cheese on mine. So
yeah, I would like that because I don't eat cheese either.
And then having alongside it, as well as, so you don't just have a big massive piece, you just have a smaller piece of lasagna on your plate, and you have it with some salad or such like. So you can still have the taste and enjoy the lasagna, but you put it in a much more healthy, balanced meal.
Right. And it was all made with like process this, throw that processed thing in there, throw that packet thing in there, make a lasagna, throw it in the oven.
And they just do it with white sauce, pasta, cheese, and meat, and there's no veg in there, and there's nothing on the side to help balance it.
Right. And that's one of my things with Anna is like sometimes she shows some healthy things. You just,
you can make sort of some of your favorite meals in a healthier way by just making sure that you add in those extra vegetables and such like, and bulk it out with healthier things.
Right. I mean, Anna, instead of like working with a registered dietitian, working with an occupational therapist, working with a physical therapist, actual medical professionals, everybody except the time when she finally goes to get surgery, everybody else has not really been a medical professional. It's all been personal trainers and all the chiropractors, These are not people that specialize in caring for lipedema patients. That's chiropractic and lipedema treatments are two totally different areas. And that's who she goes to see. That's who
Yeah.
she goes to see, you know? And that's okay. Okay, let's keep going down to the surgery part. So we talked about the exercise. We talked about our supplements here, compression, just to show you kind of on this
Well,
page.
the thing is, after surgery, she definitely needs to wear the compression after surgery.
Thank you. And that's the thing. So let's talk about the surgery and what surgeries they can do. And we're going to finish it out from here because they say that, you know, what did you have a chance to read it through on your UK side? And what have you kind of found out? Because the surgeries are, do you want to list
Yeah,
them
they're
out?
very extreme. So,
Right.
yeah, I'm just trying to.
It's not fun, easy surgeries.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we just express again the sort of risks? Because people, I think in this country, oh, just get some liposuction.
Yeah.
Very popular, you know?
Yeah.
So
I'm
which
just
would
trying to think. They call it, obviously, they call it non-cosmetic liposuction for lipedema and lipid, reduction surgery. So,
right. And I think you mentioned about the fact that it's not, it doesn't discriminate what it's removing.
no. And so in here it says a lot about sort of it's not without risk, both post-operative and in the longer term.
Right.
That, you need to research it fully before you actually do it.
Right.
And they've got to have done all the non-surgical conservative treatments for at least 6 months prior to surgery, including the compression therapy. And even after the thing, after surgery, they need to have post-operative care, which includes the lymphatic drainage and compression.
Right. I mean, it's going to really take her down for quite some time, the surgery. She'd almost be better off trying to do her conservative treatment and living her life than trying to get to this. Because this will take her down for a while. And she's still going to have to go through the treatments. So I don't know if she's trying to avoid that or she just doesn't mention it. But I don't seem, because I feel like she's not doing it. I feel like her disorder has not been managed well. I that's just nursey Spidey vibes going out. I don't, and looking at her lack of weight control throughout the years, it makes me also think she's not working with anybody to actually address it. So one of the things, just to finish out, that they said is that the patients often seek surgery, which we saw Anna there, in order to alleviate pain, increase mobility, decrease joint stress, and improve their quality of life.
Yeah.
And
I can understand wanting to get that weight, wanting to get it off. It probably is in the way, causes a lot of pain. But surgery itself is going to be so painful.
Right. She knows the game. Right. If she doesn't, she can really, be limited if she doesn't actually get through the actual control. She goes to quacks. Right. When she told people not to be quacky and coming in. But
I also worry about the surgeon that's willing to do it. So you need to make sure you've researched and that you're going to a good surgeon that's got experience with the types of patients and knows the risks and goes through it all, because I don't know whether it's a problem in the US as much, but we have people that go abroad to get liposuction privately, and they come back, and sometimes they can be a really disastrous infections and problems post-op because they've just gone and got it done abroad cheaper, and not got a decent surgeon to do it.
Right. And you're not often, if you're going abroad, then you're not going to get like the post-surgical care that you may need for up to a year post-surgery. You find back home who's doing your post-surgical care.
Yeah, they come back to the UK and hope the NHS will sort out their post-surgery care.
That's not the job of the NHS, though.
No, it isn't. But if somebody's got sepsis post-surgery, we're not exactly going to not treat them.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
Can't say,
not.
sorry, you need to fly back to Turkey to get your post-op care.
Right. Right. And who's going to want to keep flying back to Turkey for every 3 months, you know? Because, like I said, I have to see my doctor, you know, post-surgical without having had an issue. I still would have been seeing him every 3 months until for an entire year, just to make sure that the surgery was turning out right.
Yeah.
It's not like, I think, you know, we kind of, you know, and part of it was cosmetic too. So it's not necessarily that these cosmetic procedures, you're out the door and then you never see the doctor again. A proper physician or surgeon is going to ensure that you have post-operative care.
Exactly.
And for whatever period of time. And that's one of the things that they pointed out here is that the people who do receive liposuction, if that's the route you decide to go, that the expectations need to be realistic as to the aesthetic outcome, which may vary. And many surgeons place a focus on alleviating the pain, preventing worsening progression, and improving gait and mobility. And so what I think they're saying there is what they're going to do for removal is not going to give you that aesthetic look that you
target
may be wanting to go for.
Yeah, we're going to target where there's a problem and where it's needed medically, not where you want it cosmetically.
Right. And that certainly would be here in the United States for insurance. Then if you want the cosmetic part, you're going to have to pay for that. And that may not be recommended. And it says here, although a small number of surgeons claim to be able to remove all lipedema fat, thereby, you know, in parentheses, curing the patient, there is no way to know if that is truly the case because there is no definitive say all lipedema fat is gone or if the underlying problem was fixed. Can you explain that?
If she's claiming that she's only got lipedema fat left, and basically she's claiming that if she has this surgery, then she will look thick thing and then there'll be nothing left.
Right.
Both can be, but so, and then, if they're trying to remove all of that fat, it will be very hard for them to distinguish when they're getting into the deeper layers, which is the normal fat, which is the lipedema fat. I think Desiree sort of pointed out about the fact that the different types and the nodules, trying to remove the nodules from the lipedema fat, you're going to need a trained surgeon that knows how to do that. Not the same as just sticking in and pulling out the liquefying the sort of normal fat.
Right. And Desiree says she chose not to do surgery, which sounds like what they would recommend. It's not the surgeries that they're talking about are things like obviously liposuction, vein surgery, you know, probably because of I'm wondering if the vascularization, if they're trying to do anything there to help close or create veins. I wonder which way they're going.
Wouldn't have a clue.
I'm curious. Because like I said, I had my veins corrected for having varicosities, some that I didn't even see that were deeper inside my leg through hereditary. I have hereditary disorders. Now they also talked about the knee and hip replacements.
Well, but I would think the knee operation, doing a knee operation wouldn't be that bad, but the hip surgery would be so difficult, just mechanically getting to the hip joint.
Right. And I'm wondering if that is because
so much less, and is that going to cause a problem with bleeding, with it being so vascularized to get to the depth of the where it is?
Right.
Yeah, that could be very problematic.
Right. And I'm wondering if they're getting these replacements because of the hypermobility, just the stress that got put on the joints, that they now need replacement. Which is why it's scary to see Anna jumping around on her joints the way she does.
Yeah.
All right. And then we'll finish up. Obviously, excisions of the fat nodules, which is what Desiree was talking about. But excision is very different, though. That's like cutting away.
Yeah.
Bariatric surgery to treat abdominal obesity, and they obviously asterisk this and they wanted to let people know that it has bariatric surgery has very limited, if any, effect on lipodematous tissue directly.
Yeah.
It's for the non-lipedema fat and obesity, which could be reduced.
Yeah,
And
which is
patients should be aware of this when considering which treatments to pursue, because Amberlynn Reed talked a lot about bariatric surgery, but she has the lipedema and the lymphedema.
Yeah. But then, and I do wonder whether then they're probably going to end up feeling worse, because if they're getting rid of, as a sort of same thing, maybe she does like having that extra weight at the top,
Right.
because it evens out the fact that
Right.
the hips and the legs look so bad with the lipedema fat, that sometimes it's a comfort to actually have that sort of the normal fat as a sort of buffer.
Right, because you feel like you've got more of a normal shape, you know?
Yes.
Right. Yeah,
Rather
absolutely.
than
And as
forward.
women, we obviously, you know, we do have a certain amount of vanity.
Yeah.
Even though I threw myself on camera and got called a drug addict. So there we go. Well,
Yeah,
I guess
well,
I am a drug addict for antibiotics.
yeah, I'll have to be your legal drug dealer then.
I know. I've been legally dealt like more antibiotics than you can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on Bactrim for like 30 days now, twice a day. It's, you know, and then clindamycin thrown in and some Bactaban on my nose.
Oh, that one's
yeah.
harsh on your gut.
Yes, as I'm saying, I'm on pre and probiotics, and I've not ate very well. So that was really just such a nice comment. People on the internet are so kind.
Oh,
Anyway, I'm like, God, I didn't realize I looked that bad today. I didn't realize I looked that hollow-eyed. Oh, because you put that's why I wear concealer usually. Okay, this sounded just frightening to me. As a series of operations. I'm guessing Anna's looking at the liposuction, which isn't going to do much. It's going to probably make her more upset. She probably needs to, you know, she needs to talk to somebody. Debulking lifts and resections. Lord of my life. That just sounds just like not fun. And I'm thinking if you're already having vascular issues, that the chance of those wounds healing well are going to be more compromised. Would that be correct?
Probably.
You know, I would just think about wound healing for these patients, you know, and then trying to get them mobile after surgery too, to stop from any PVTs. Oh, I'm getting a cascade in my brain. Okay. All right. We're finishing out here. It says here just for the surgery part, because I think this is what I guess we're trying to express is that the way she just went, she really never talked about the lipedema. Then we heard, you know, I think a lot of people kind of suspected it in some ways. And I think she may have said it, but then she suddenly found, you know, had this dramatic doctor's visit, which she looked so upset, like, you know, and maybe she's learning that she hasn't done any of the conservative treatments and she needs to do this, but she just wants to get to surgery. She don't want to, you know, I have a feeling she doesn't want to do the work.
Yeah, adherence to pre-op and post-op protocols is important. And the setting of healthy routines before surgery should be advised. Eating well, the manual lymphatic drainage and the compression. So they all need doing well before, so that you can continue them well after.
Right.
Because you're going to have to make sure that you continue to, you know, keep on top of it afterwards. Otherwise, it'll just revert.
Right. They keep talking about healthy eating. And I just want to express that a lot of us here who've reacted to Anna over time don't see her eating as healthy as we think she should, because she gets too many affiliate sponsorships of which she sells all these nonsense types of food products, you know, and that's what she shows she eats as a snack and so forth. So yeah.
I was going to say, Sam's saying it'll take months of rehabilitation after the surgery. Yeah, it will do.
She won't be, I mean, what content? Lying in her bed? I mean, you're not going to feel like wanting to make content. If you really are,
I don't
you know,
know. She might enjoy doing the content, the sympathy vote while laid there.
you
Some do.
know,
I do see people doing content from hospital beds.
oh my God, I promise you, after I had my stuff done to my nose, the way I looked and the way I swelled up after having rhinoplasties and septal deviation repairs, I promise you, I don't want to have anybody see me on a camera. You think my eyes look dark underneath now? You should have seen me after that surgery. After I'd had my nose broken but for the septal deviation repair. Because I go in there and smash you with the mallet, from what I understand.
As Cal says, yeah, it's the MLM porn guidebook. Contact anywhere, anytime.
Oh, what, the MLM? Oh
yeah, all your MLM creators, they will they'll stream while giving birth, I think.
Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, those girls, they have, and I'm surprised they haven't come out with a lipedema cure yet. I'm sure there's a supplement that, if enough people start talking about it, I'm sure they'll create a magnesium zinc collagen supplement to go out and take care of it. So anyway, that you can't cure. If any doctor surgeon says they're going to cure this through lipo or anything, they're lying. So there's no cure like that. And they just keep talking about having healthy routines. And then the last thing I wanted to point out, or the last two really thing, and this is interesting. It says the lymphatic system, and you spoke about this in lymphatic dysfunction, can impact anesthesia.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I would be worried about calculating doses. So when you calculate in doses for different drugs, you've got some ones where you take body weight, but then sometimes you've got to take into account whether the drug is fat soluble or not, whether you take into account somebody's fat volume.
Right.
So some drugs you do on their lean body weight, some drugs that you do on total body weight, depending on whether it goes into the fat or not. So with some drugs, they can go in the fat and then get stored in the fat.
Right.
So there's all them sort of complications you've got to think out when you're doing the dosage.
And I think that's where the complexities of medicine come, and why when you see people with simple fixes to health, maybe, it's not always a simple fix. And that could be, let's see what Desiree says. Because I eat healthy is why I never got as bad as the girls. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm assuming if you keep on a healthy diet and restrict your calories, if you don't allow that fat to build up as much, not to say that it's not going to build up, but you probably can add to it escalating quicker if you continually have extra fat in your bloodstream to get deposited.
Right. And Anna I saw, just a couple of years ago was eating a hamburger between two slices of Texas style sourdough fried toast, with cheese.
Yeah.
I feel like she's talks about healthy diet, but from how she looks, it doesn't look like she's adhering. And all her money, girl, work with a registered dietitian. You can afford it. Gosh, don't influencer, get a real one.
Yeah, I have to say well done to Desiree for eating healthy, because it can be hard if you've got a condition that's getting you down. Continually keep yourself healthy, and it's a credit to you that you've actually done that, especially when you only got your diagnosis 4 years ago.
Correct.
And you've managed to keep on top of it so well.
Yes, that's excellent, Desiree, and I think that is a testament to, understanding that food is so vital to how we feel, because if you're eating healthfully, you're probably going to feel better as you manage this chronic condition. Yeah. Because the food is going to give you that good energy, that good nutrition that you need in order to sustain you. And I know people hate me hearing this. I know you don't want to hear it. Because I used to have it in my closet.
It's hard. It's the truth.
Yeah, it's hard.
It doesn't get the views.
Right. It doesn't. It doesn't catch it. It's not a fad diet. But you've done great, Desiree, and I think that Anna could learn a lot from you.
Yeah.
And it says, I bruise like crazy. Right. And they talked
Oh.
about the bruising.
Yeah, 'cause it's so vascular. Yeah, again, which is why I would worry about surgery. You're going to bruise easily just touching like that. How are you going to bleed out when you're having surgery?
Right. And they go in there aggressively with that cannula to do the liposuction removal.
Yeah.
You're going to be just one. I mean, I would be concerned for that bruising then. That's probably why they're just saying be really careful there.
Yeah.
And then they said it's important to do careful research prior to electing surgery. Social media can be useful tool to connect with other lipedema patients who have shared their surgical experiences. And I didn't have time to look.
Yeah, to actually see anybody post-surgery and what complications they've had and such like it would be.
Right. I would like to have a genuine, like, review of a surgery, you know, not somebody who's like talking about it being the instant cure, you know? So, all right. We're finishing up because it's getting late in the UK. We've been here for a long time.
We have.
Appreciative of your time, Eloise.
Longest live stream I've done. So,
what are your? I'm going to let you close out with your thoughts. Let me not interrupt.
I would say, yeah, not really anything there sort of pharmaceutical other than getting the compression garments on the prescription. Supplement wise, anything that you'd gain supplement wise would be better gaining in a healthy diet. So antioxidants in your healthy diet, omega-3s in your healthy diet, and yeah.
And then the weight loss drugs along with it. Are there is it still kind of research needed, or
I would say it's research needed. It's not going to actually target the actual lymphedema, although if somebody's struggling with obesity alongside it, it might help alongside that. But
right, by reducing the fat through obesity, and therefore you've just got the lipedema maybe more to target with treatment, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
That would be a way to see it. Okay, well, anything else? I just am so excited. Thank you so much for taking your time. I hope we get to do this again.
I do,
and
yeah.
Something.
Yeah, it'd be nice to actually talk to somebody, have somebody with a good subscriber list to have a good chat. I do good chats in my live streams, but I only have
absolutely. And I like the idea that we get to do
come across with their on my live stream. So that's great.
Excellent. And if you haven't had a chance to go and like Eloise's live stream, please do so. If you've had a chance to like mine, I always appreciate it. I love doing these dual because I like the interprofessional collaboration. I think showing, you know, that I think that people think in healthcare, you got your doctors over here, your pharmacists over here, your nurses, and never the twain do we meet, which is not.
Now, I like a nice multidisciplinary team, as we like to call it, our MDTs.
Yes. We use that multi and interprofessional is a very
as well as treating the person as a whole, and I think that's shown here with all the different sections to the treatment. You've got to treat the person as a whole and treat the condition from many different angles. So yeah, it isn't just the one answer with the surgery. You've got to have every other factor in place.
Right, because you're going to need a care team that involves so many different therapists. Obviously, your lymphedema nurses. You've got your different, your probably your vascular doctors or vein specialists that you're probably going to be following up. I know here in the States, often it is your venous doctors that manage this condition. Is that the same in the UK?
Yeah.
Tends to be the vascular folks who are dealing with these guys.
Yeah, the vascular surgeons and the lymphedema nurses would be the two main. But then obviously you need the dietitians in there.
Right.
And if you are going to alter your diet and think about any of the sort of anti-inflammatory diets, having the help from the dietitian. And as they were saying, the physio, it's trying to build up that muscle underneath to keep the joint strong. And OT for moving around the house and such like. So many different.
Just it's amazing, and I think one of the things I'm going to definitely want to do is get cheekbones on and talk about the lipedema diets, and especially whatever that
we could
one
do a three-way. That would be interesting.
Was that what?
Now that we've sorted out two people on a live stream, we could get three.
I wonder if my bandwidth could take it, but we might have to all be avatars. But if I can get it, like, I'm surprised at how well my thing held up today. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the conversation, Desiree. We certainly appreciate all your participation.
Yeah, I've really appreciated actually having, somebody that understands the condition from a personal perspective. And that is always the thing with any conditions. Patient support groups are always great because they can actually answer it from the actual living it.
Right.
A lot of the healthcare professionals, we don't always understand how it is to actually live with the condition. So getting support from other, actual people that live with the condition and the support groups are essential.
Absolutely. And I think that's where I feel like, I don't know, I guess I'm saddened by Anna in some ways, is that she's with that enormous platform, the support that she could really give for people who are managing this condition. And I feel like that's not what she's giving.
No.
I feel like she's not really by going straight to the surgical route and not having spoken, like I said, 1,000 times like a dead horse now, that key part, she had the exercise, she's not really tackled the diet, and the other stuff she just put out the wayside from her content.
Yeah.
And now she's headed to surgery. I feel like there was a lot of stuff in between that she should have addressed. But anyway, all right. Any parting words? Because I'm going to let you finish out, and then I'm just going to start throwing up the branding stuff and say, make sure you like the stream before you leave.
Oh, yeah. So all the YouTubey things. Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed getting it. I hope my usual subscribers have enjoyed this. And if there's anybody who hasn't already seen my channel, I would appreciate people coming across. This is the first time I've actually done sort of influencer sort of content, reaction content. I usually just stick to either looking at a specific drug, a specific supplement, or a condition and do it from that side. The only time I did it sort of on an influencer was when I did coffee enemas.
Right. Well, this time we kind of just used Anna as a I always say a springboard, because we never, right, because we don't treat or diagnose or do anything. And obviously it crosses over to Amberlynn Reed because she has these two conditions. So I just like to talk because people know who they are. They're out there. They have a platform. They're talking about these things. And I think, this is an opportunity for us too.
And debunking medical misinformation. That's the main reason why I came on, is because I got fed up of, people touting supplements as cure-alls. And it's like, now I need to put some balanced information out there.
But and I'm so glad that you do.
Evidence, but you've got to balance it with nuance that, if it has a good effect, it possibly does have a side effect in some people, not all things are of benefit for all people.
Right, exactly. And I'm so glad that you did, because that's part of the reason why, for me, especially as a nurse and seeing and having worked in oncology and so many sort of, areas like that, and just seeing the things that people recommend that just, to me, I know are just so damaging to your health. It just, and they just get so many views. They get more, recognition, and people think it's just so frightening, and so that's part of the reason.
The amount of, I was going to say, I've even had it because I talked about B17, that it's not vitamin B17. It's not a real vitamin. It's not a cure-all for cancer. And I've even had that. I get people still coming on and going, "How do you know the big pharma are causing issues?"
Oh.
And it's having balance and nuance. You do not have to give up having chemo for cancer without looking at sort of alternatives. You can do them side by side, as long as you have a discussion with your health providers, about what is safe and what isn't.
Right. Because we do use alternative complementary treatments in order to help manage pain and do all sorts of things. But to sort of, it is difficult. And, and I think, unfortunately, here in the US, where obviously pharmacies are businesses, and I think that they show that, because they know that pricing is not based on is profit, because people have shares in pharmaceuticals. And I think because of that, unfortunately, it has meant that these companies now are seen as like just profit driven and not people driven, which is very different when you're dealing with chemotherapy drugs. I want people to know they're expensive.
They are expensive, but you know.
But the doctor's not getting a kickback. I can let you know that.
I'm going to say the NHS is definitely not getting a kickback. And the NHS is not getting a kickback.
You know, when somebody's on a full Fox, you know, protocol or something, I promise you, the doctor not getting anything on that. Okay. I mean, he might get bonuses for patient seen or something in quick time or something, but you're not getting it for the drugs. I mean, it's just, I think that, you know, it's unfortunate, and it is unfortunate because we, you know, medicine has unfortunately here in the US crosses with profit, and it makes it seem then not trustworthy for a lot of people. Oh yeah, Jesse Lee Ward talked about the chemo pimps.
No, they're not.
Oh, I had a field day on the chemo pimp statement.
And you know, the doctors will say, if they say that they don't think chemo is going to work, they will say it won't, and they'll do other treatments instead.
Right.
Oh, thank you, Kat.
I know. Eloise is great. She really does. Yes, I hope people get to your channel. I think it's so important.
I've been on YouTube for a year now. But from looking at my stats, I've done about 20 videos and 20 live streams.
Right.
And yeah, they are starting to get there. I've got 522 subscribers now. So
you'll get there. You'll get there. Once it starts going, it starts going. Look, I'm trying to get to 2,700 now. I'm like, you know, I'm fighting all the time. And, you know, I know that I'm not everybody's cup of tea because, you know, sometimes they want reactors to be, oh, she is brilliant. She's so small. You are brilliant, Eloise. That we want, I think she's brilliant. That's why I'm here. Okay, I'm just the nurse. I'm just the nurse. Yes.
I'm just providing education out there so that people can, you know, take a lead in their sort of health and know what to ask at the doctors, know what to look for, and be able to take charge of their own sort of health and lifestyle. And
absolutely. And advocacy is something that we do want people to promote, but not to the point that you're advocating to yourself so much that you think that the doctors are trying to take you out. You know, there's the alternative.
It said that you can have an educated conversation with your doctor about what the choice of treatments are.
Right. And I think people don't realize that most doctors are much more open to these discussions. That's why I hated how Jesse Lee was talking about the chemo pimp. And it's not like that. Now, oncologists, though, I have to say, having worked in oncology, they know the protocols. So, you know, when people are coming in with all these things that they're gathering from the internet and this stuff, it becomes very frustrating, I think.
And they're wanting their patients to survive. They're wanting the best for their patients. They're not doing it to get anything, you know, monetary or anything. They're doing it because they want to help people survive.
Right. And I've seen, unfortunately, stage 4 cancer patients with very, you know, poor prognosis.
I don't know how they do it.
You know,
one of the reasons why I like pharmacy is that step outside. You don't get out close.
Right. It is difficult, but I've seen these patients go from one doc to the next, trying to get a different, you know, prognosis, a different diagnostic treatment plan, you know, and getting angry because they're not getting the doctors to give them, you know, especially when you're dealing with like stage 4 pancreatic.
It can be good to get a different perspective from another, you know, consultant that might have come across different treatment plans and be able to offer up different things, but you're not actually going to be changing the actual core diagnosis. Yes, there's very occasionally that you can get misdiagnosis, especially when there's things that present very similar.
Right. But, I think it's more you're finding a doctor you like to have your relationship with.
Yeah.
You know, because the protocols for a lot of these treatments are very much a protocol.
They are. And they're going to be the same no matter which hospital or which consultant you say.
Right.
And even
right.
even which country you go to, because I'm sure that the protocols in the US and the UK are probably fairly similar.
Correct. Yes.
Might be
And they
slightly different, but you know, they're still all based on the evidence out there.
Right. Right. And I have seen where even some are collaborating between, you know, colleges of certain specialties in Europe with colleges
Yeah.
of specialties here in the US, you know, and they'll come up with, you know, protocols. And so that's why, you know, we always encourage to get a second opinion. But if you've had it twice now, that's probably the diagnosis and prognosis, then, you know, you find the person that you like the relationship or maybe their treatment plan, but probably they're going to be very similar from one cancer center to the next here because they.
Yeah, the only time you're going to maybe get something different is if you're going to maybe a big teaching hospital who's doing research. They might be able to offer you something that's up and coming.
Right.
But then you'll have
Right.
to sign up to the fact that you're signing up for a trial.
Correct.
And that's an even more unknown. It's either do you stick with the tried and tested, we know how effective it is and we know the side effects, or do you want to try something that may be better, but actually it may be worse because we don't know yet.
Right. Right. Oh my goodness, we could talk about this all day.
Oh,
all
yeah.
right.
Yeah, we
All
better
right.
get going.
Let me let you. I know. Let me let you get to sleep.
Well,
Thank you
great
so much.
having this chat. It's been great always being on your live streams in the comment section. So it's great to actually be face to face with you now.
I know, and I actually came on camera.
Yay!
Makeup free and with a scar on my nose.
Yeah,
It makes me look like I have a black area missing. It just looks like I have a very large nostril, and it's not. It's
It allows people to realise that us healthcare professionals are normal human beings.
yeah, we're just normal folks. We got to go through stuff too, you know. We're not supermodels, you know.
Come on.
Yeah, that's true. Look at, you know, I can't even get away with it except for the thinness. That would be the only thing is the thinness. And that was not even imposed by me. That was imposed by the antibiotics. Clindamycin really got me thin. It says, I remember trying to get my mom's medical records. They were weird about doctor shopping. I was mad because she had been to a doctor once in like 10 years. Yeah, it's hard to get medical records in the States. They will charge you for that stuff. You actually, if you need medical records, the best thing is one, have your parent actually be signed up to one of these MyChart apps so you can see inside through the app because they'll give you a lot of information because they'll charge you for the medical records here in the US.
In the UK, you can have access to your medical records. They might charge you an admin fee, but you can get access. And also, if you're transferring, they will transfer your medical records. So if you decide to sign up with a different GP, they just automatically transfer your records. It's just
correct, and that's free in the US too. So if you all needing to transfer records to another doctor's, you would ask that you would sign off paperwork here in the US to say that you give this office permission to request this office to send you the documents here.
Yeah. Now it's all electronic. It's so much easier. It used to be a bit of a pain with the old physical records, and you'd have to post them and then thing. But now it's all electronic. So as soon as they've requested it, it just comes through.
Yeah. But definitely, I always say to people, if you're in a healthcare system, even your parent, get the app on the phone because that will tell you everything: the labs, any CT scans, all the medical that you've ever had. We all have to go on there.
Yeah, in the UK, we have the NHS app, so you can download the NHS app and then request that your GP puts your information in there. You can order your repeat prescriptions on there, change which pharmacy you're using, request help through 111 on there. There's a whole load of things, and also then get your test results and things.
Yeah, so it's always good, I think, to get actually using those apps because you'll find a lot of the medical information, and for your parent, get it on their phone so that you can help them navigate through that. If they're not,
you can request that you can have access for a relative.
Yeah, and
so it's useful to sign up well before anything goes wrong.
Right, they're linked to your ID. Yeah, it's you can get that here, and I say that's so much easier if you're just wanting to read records to look at stuff. If you want to get records to another doctor, get that doctor's office to request it because then you don't have the cost, and that's much easier. The doctors don't handle the medical records. Usually the nurse may make copies for you if they've got the time to be generous like that. I know I've printed out medical records or sort of like something from a chart or something, but if it gets back any further, I would have to say you have to go to the medical office.
They're not being able to see your medical records. A long time ago when I first started, doctors and healthcare professionals literally wrote whatever they liked in medical notes. And we have been told sort of since, the introduction of patients being able to request and see things, you have to be a lot more sensible in what you write about patients in their notes.
Right. Yes. Well, hey, everybody's a pleasant gentleman or a pleasant lady in here in the States. Everybody's pleasant. They're always described as pleasant.
Yeah.
Even if you're looking at that, you're like, when has that patient ever been pleasant? But they're always pleasant in the talk. But yeah,
so now I get about how things.
Yeah, Pat, that's just the admin.
Patient feels like this is.
I know. Oh my gosh.
I'm just saying the patient states and then just quoting them.
Right. And I don't even know if we can use the word states here. I think in the US we have to say patient verbalized. That's the term we have to use. Patient verbalized, blah, 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 blah. You can't even say stated. It's verbalized. There's like all the specific language we have to use. Yeah, it's temporal requests from my providers, not just me. Yeah, I can promise you, Pat, when I used to work in oncology and I had to get medical records, I could have a struggle from some facilities. And I would literally have to call and speak to medical records and beg and let them know that, these are cancer patients. I need these records, It's really hard. Yeah. Are not always cool. No, they're not. Hey, they work away from people for a purpose and a reason, okay?
Yeah. I was going to say, you can have good and bad people in every area.
Right. I thought about consulting attorney, the lack of consult. Yeah. At that point, I may want to reach out to the patient advocate at that hospital and find out why these records are not getting released, to your doctors, or the nurse has to be really persistent from the other facility. I was very persistent at getting medical records for people.
I can be persistent when needed.
Good. That's the thing in healthcare. Sometimes you just have to be persistent. All right. I'm going to play out all our brand stuff. Let us go. Thank you to all my moderators who've been here helping moderate the chat. You know who you are. Pat Ray's here. We got Rosebud here. I know she popped in at some point. We had Angela Glass come in. All the different mods. Thank you so much for MK, who I know is also a member, and had the question about her thyroid earlier. So thank you so much for that. Just to say thank you for that super chat. And I'm just gonna finish out the brand. Otherwise, we'll just start talking. So I'm just gonna play out the brand and end the live stream. Okay.
Okay. Then. Yep. Great talk. So thanks. See y'all.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. Let me get my we're going to put up some subscribes just to make sure that you go over to Eloise's page and subscribe. I'm going to play out Nurse Ray Knows. See you on the next one.
Yeah.